From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
It is 6 minutes past the hour, and welcome to the Hurley in the Morning program. Glad that you're here. Wow, I have been taking notes, and I feel like I'm back in school. There's been so much to catalog and keep straight. And how about this? New York v. Trump. I can't remember the last time that I have been this outraged about anything. This case has literally disturbed me because of its unfairness. How about they throw in 3 charges at the very end that the defense, they're already done. The defense has done its closing summation. The prosecution throws in 3 charges that they had never talked about the entire trial. Things about taxes. See, I have a list here. Hold on. Let's see. Like I told you, there's just so much. Oh, I thought I had it right here. Hold on. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, gosh, I have so many things I'm going to be sharing with you this hour. And this Mershon, my God, this guy, he's got to be, the legal system has to deal with him when this is all over. The worst thing, though, would be if they get a conviction, because then Trump has to deal with an appeal. It's like, you can't go after him now, although you've been found guilty. You got to deal with that. So check this out. I'll find it, but it's a tax issue, and Mershon made it so clear. And even if they paid taxes, even if they didn't underpay, you can still find him guilty. But this was, I think this is the most crooked, fantastical charge that a judge has ever given to a jury in a criminal trial. He basically said, there's 12 jurors. 4 of you could find a state election violation, which they haven't shown anything. 4 of you can find a federal election violation. How are you doing that in this local court? And 4 of you can find tax violations, and it can still be treated as a unanimous verdict. How do you like that? In other words, you don't have to be unanimous, is what he's saying. It's bizarre. Truly bizarre. How do you not have to be unanimous when it's required that you have to be unanimous? Oh, yeah, I found the 3 new charges. Federal Election Campaign Act violation, and he wouldn't let Brad Smith, the former FEC chairman, testify because Brad Smith was going to say there's no Federal Election Campaign Act violation. I mean, is this Mershon crooked or what? And then falsification of business records and violation of tax laws. So I did commit them to memory. Those are the jury options that they finally found out about. Now, keep in mind, the defense never got to say anything about these things. Tax laws, that was never brought up in this entire trial. So check this out. Judge Merchan, quote, it's page 31 of the jury instructions, which they're not allowed to have a copy of. This guy took 1 hour and 40 minutes to charge the jury. I think it's something like 56 full pages. How are you going to remember that? So, of course, they're asking for it to be read back. What are they going to need that read to 1 hour and 40 minutes every day? Quote, this is Merchan. Although you must conclude unanimously that the defendant conspired to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means, you need not be unanimous as to what those unlawful means were. Who ever heard of such a thing? Nobody. Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, Judge Jeanine Pirro, Shannon Bream, Laura Ingraham. I mean, nobody. Nobody's ever heard anything like this before. You have to be unanimous, but you don't have to be unanimous. Then Trump says Mother Teresa couldn't be found not guilty here. And then corrupt media people said Donald Trump is comparing himself to Mother Teresa. No, matter of fact, he was doing just the opposite. He was saying even she couldn't be found not guilty. I really think Trump is preparing, and it's not a bad idea. He's preparing that he's going to be found guilty. If you look, and I've been saying it from the beginning, it doesn't matter what we know. It's a bad system when we know more than the jurors know. That's a bad thing. And whether you like it or not, and any attorney that is a good attorney will tell you this, the jurors bond with the judge. That's the relationship. The relationship isn't with the defense or the prosecution. They bond with the judge. And it's very, very regrettable how this judge has handled things. So I'm telling you, and I've been feeling it from the beginning, that it was all going to be in the charge to the jury. And what this Merchan has done is wickedly dishonest. The jury has also asked, they want to hear testimony from this 2015 meeting with Pecker and Michael Cohen and President Trump. So some people are reading bad things into that. Some people are reading good things into that. But this is all about convicting Trump. Can you imagine Joe Biden giving a speech from the White House? This liar, this incoherent, babbling fool giving a speech about Trump being convicted? I am pleased, and I predicted it would happen. Biden sending De Niro to the trial, to the outside area, played very, very bad. And it's so stupid and it's desperate because it links Biden to the trial. But, of course, he already was linked. Third in command at DOJ left to join this charade. I mean, Colangelo, it's the whole thing is utterly preposterous. And I assure you, and if he is convicted, we'll be able to prove this. It's going to take a while, but we'll be able to one day say, remember when we told you that this decision could not stand, that it would be reversed. And incidentally, I'm not resigned to the fact that it's going to be a guilty verdict. I will tell you that media people have said that have been in the courtroom, and none of us have been. They say there is one juror that appears to be extremely favorable to President Trump. What is going to be interesting is, and they could get away with this as well, if the deliberation goes on for a period of time and they cannot get a unanimous decision. And remember, unanimous now, it's like Biden and recessions. New definitions now for unanimous. Unanimous in Democrat speak means you must be unanimous, but you don't have to be unanimous. Wait a minute, you just told me we have to be unanimous. You have to be unanimous, but you don't have to be unanimous. And it's really almost everything except a wink. Get it? No matter what you do, we're going to say he's guilty. So I know how, I don't know if we're going to see a conviction. Doubtful. I mean, it would be wonderful, but it appears doubtful that there would be an acquittal. And remember this, if it is a hung jury, and then it's a mistrial's thrown out, I guarantee you, same day, probably, I want to say within seconds, within minutes of the jury verdict, Alvin Bragg will give a statement. They are retrying President Trump, and they will do it immediately. Don't think they will wait until after the election. And do you realize how many people are rotting in Rikers and other penitentiaries right now in New York? They can't get their day in court, but they race Trump in there in record time. The level of deception and fraud, and I use that word loosely, and just the outrage of this whole thing. So if I had to guess, I think the best result would be that is available based on Mershon, the jury instructions. You know, remember, they're all like taking in Weisselberg said this and Weisselberg said that. No, Weisselberg didn't say anything because the prosecution didn't bring him, and he's under their control. They sent this old man to Rikers. It's incredible what these people have done. So what a jury is supposed to be charged with is that you can conclude that had Weisselberg testified, he would not have been helpful to the prosecution. They weren't instructed that. And the other thing that is just completely outrageous, this judge who knows that there is not a Trump election violation allowed the prosecution dozens of times in that 5 hours, and even before that, to keep telling the jury how Trump is guilty of that. And when the defense and Mershon knew the law here, and Mershon, when the defense objected, overruled them, which then tells the jury that Trump is guilty of that. When I tell you there are dozens, and they're purposeful in my opinion, dozens of reversible errors by Mershon, I'm telling you, I've never been this just completely enraged about something that I can ever remember. Because I don't usually let things get me to that point. The unfairness, the blatant corruption is outrageous. I do think the best Trump result that is available under these circumstances is a hung jury. I don't know how you should be able to get to acquittal. And then the other thing that I just thought was absolutely just preposterous, I heard a national personality yesterday say, and it's dragging on. The jury had the case for 4 hours at the time, dragging on. 6-week trial, dragging on. I'm telling you, we are living in a true bizarro world.
People all over the Jersey Shore have found the easiest way to stay connected to South Jersey's talk station. It's the WPG Talk Radio app. Read free, unlimited South Jersey news. Listen to your favorite talk shows. Send us breaking news tips and more. The WPG Talk Radio app is powered by Smokers Haven. You'll find the finest selection of cigars at any of their 5 locations. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. SmokersHavenNJ.com.
Fox News commentary.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg blames climate change for the increase in dangerous flight turbulence. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
Ask yourself this. Is there anything Democrats won't blame on climate change? Nope, I don't think so. In his latest dereliction of his duty as Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg explained on CBS's Face the Nation that it is in fact climate change to blame for the recent uptick in severe in-flight turbulence. He cited that turbulence is up 15% and that the effects of climate change are already upon us in terms of transportation. This coming from the same man who also claims failing infrastructure is due to systemic racism. Or perhaps turbulence is due to weather patterns and the airplanes themselves are experiencing serious quality control issues. Just my wild assumption, Pete. You know, I don't know what DEI bin the Biden administration pulls from to find its cabinet members and officials, but for the sake of our country, I would sure ask that they please stop. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
You know, I thought this was almost hilarious. Joe Biden was yesterday pandering for black votes. That's what they call it. I say African American, but the media always says black. And he's pandering. It is embarrassing. And that is because a recent poll yesterday revealed that Biden's African-American voter support is down to 70%. If that does not change, he can't win. So understand they're going to come heavy at Trump as a racist. To know what they're going to do ahead of when they do it is such a burden, but I'm telling you, it's what they will be doing. So you have Biden pandering for black votes, saying, quote, Trump is pandering for black votes. This is how sick it is. And let me tell you why this is going on. A brand new election forecast prediction has been authored. Right now, it is Trump 56%, Biden 44%. So they predict 56 to 44 that Trump will win the November 5th election. That's why he's in court right now. The Senate, which I've always felt this way, 77% likelihood, because there are so many Democrat seats that are being defended, and they're going to lose a lot of them. They're going to do their abortion stuff and, you know, everything that they can possibly try to do with wedge issues to try to keep it from happening. This I'm not as optimistic about, but the election forecast prediction says that 62% to 38% Republicans will win the House. I think that's right, because if Trump runs as strong as I think he's going to, then he will have coattails. But I think this is exactly right. Trump probably even leads by a little bit more because he always outperforms. The Senate looks right to me, 77-23, and the House is 62-38. That's what's going on. That's what they don't want you to know about. And that's why they're doing everything they can to distract everyone, to pay attention to the shiny object. Pay attention and get ready. If Trump is convicted, when I tell you the amount of free advertising that Joe Biden is going to get, you will not be able to calculate it. It will be so unbelievable. But just never forget, though, for the first time in the history of the Republic, you have a judge, a New York City or a New York County Supreme Court. They call him, it's like he's appointed. He's not elected. He's like temporary, I think is what they call him. This guy, and keep in mind, he keeps getting all the Trump and Republican type cases. Now he just got the Bannon case. And they keep saying, oh, my God, it's a random drawing. And it's Mershon. 3 in a row. What? I'll tell you what, they need to start playing the numbers game. But never forget, first time ever, quote, you need not be unanimous as to what unlawful means. That is a reversible error right there. You have to be unanimous. This can't be some hodgepodge bingo card. You have to be unanimous. That's insane to instruct a jury that you don't have to be unanimous. Hey, raise your hand if you think he's guilty of this. Okay, you 4. Raise your hand if you think he's guilty of that. Okay, you 4. And raise your hand if you think he's guilty of the third thing. And 4 people raise their hands. Okay, we're good. We got it. We're unanimous. Unanimous about what? Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Halftime break. We'll be right back. Open forum. We're going to need it. Want to hear from you for sure in the 7 o'clock hour. John Zarek at 8. Joanne Daly today in the 9 o'clock hour.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you. 30 minutes past the hour. I am Harry Hurley, and I am proud to present 3 articles that you can follow right now on the WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. New Jersey State PBA wants new policies after the Ocean City and Wildwood juvenile chaos. We need it. It's a disgrace what they did in New Jersey, these Democrats. Criminally charged Atlantic City school principal has turned on the mayor and his wife, and in Atlantic City area, Longport specifically.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. Rain is gone and fog is lifting this morning, and now we fall back into a pleasant weather pattern with a few delightfully dry days on the way. Skies will become partly sunny this morning as we top out around 74 degrees this afternoon, a little cooler than it has been. Mainly clear tonight, low 52. Tomorrow will be sunny and dry with a high of 75. Saturday, sunny and dry, high 78. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thanks for waking up early in the morning. Our 609-407-1450 telephone on-air phone lines will open for the 7 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that very, very much. See what your take is on all of this insanity that's going on. There's quite a bit of it, not just the this abomination of a trial in New York. You know what they don't understand? When they are willing to literally burn down the house to rule the ashes, they don't realize the lasting damage that they do. They're desperate, just belief that power belongs to them. That when they win, they crush you. When you win, you have to still do what they want. It is sick. It is so sick. Rasmussen did some polling, and this should come as no surprise to you at all. It's not polling directly related to the election, but of course, if you pick one simple thing, like if I tell you what the price of a gallon of gasoline is, you usually would be able, on your own, with no help from me, no help from anyone else, you would know who is likely to win the election. Because the price of a gallon of gasoline throughout many, many years has been determinative. And it's not just because of the one issue, the price at the pump. Because when that is happening, typically there are other surrounding factors. The reason that you see the lawfare that's going on and they're desperately trying to convict Trump, they need a game changer like never before. Because it's over right now. They know it. Believe me when I tell you this. No spin. They know it's over. They cannot win in this environment. People are hurting. Food, energy, everything is devastating right now. The price at the pump, every form of energy, way up. More than 1/3 of American adults say they are changing their summer vacation plans due to high gas prices. Is that a shame? Somebody just wrote to me, Mr. Efficiency, multitasking. I spoil people. Most people in my position would never, ever do what I do. They would just ignore it all, and then sometime well after 10 o'clock, they would get around to getting back. But I just like to show people respect, and I like to stay on top of things, and I don't want to have some crushing list of things, waiting for me, avalanching me at 10:06. So I try to keep up with it as we go. A total of 38% of Americans say that the price of gas has caused them to alter their vacation plans. So it's more than a third. This is as AAA reported yesterday that the United States average regular gas price is $3.57 per gallon. I'm currently paying, and I have to fill up today, as a matter of fact. This is very unusual for me, but I'm even a little bit below a quarter of a tank right now. I have more than half a half, but but it's under a quarter. The half a half is a joke for something that Margie and we've just never stopped laughing about it. I wonder if this phenomenal couple is listening right now. I want a sidebar. Just please humor me, because I need a laugh, because there's just so much right now going on to cry about. We're playing this fun game. Haven't played it in a long time. We were playing this fun game called Catchphrase. And it's really a nice game for couples. And I'm not bragging, but Margie and I are really good at it. Very, very competitive. So family members in couples, John, if John is listening, and Lynette, they have played. All of our kids and their spouses, my sister, my brother Don, everybody has played. So it's very competitive, as you can imagine. And then we had two different categories, and John purchased these crystal trophies. Margie and I still have one of them. They're not permanently yours. You can be defeated and you have to give up the trophy. But we have the one of them right now. So Margie and I, we're actually playing John and Lynette. And so the reason I said half a moment ago is the clue was 1/4, a fourth, if you want to call it by a fraction or a contraction. So it's a quarter. And John just keeps giving the clue. Half a half. It almost was, it was comically, painfully, hysterically funny. Half. Just kept saying half. No other clue. You only have a certain amount of time. And then you lose. You lose the point. So half a half meant a quarter. Half. Just sometimes it's like the game Password. You try to give a clue that helps someone get the actual word that you're trying to get. It's very similar to Password. Sort of a good way to follow what this game is all about. And so every once in a while, Margie and I, we did it recently, we'll just joke. Half. If something is like a quarter or 25%, half. So by the way, they never got. The time expired after probably saying half a half at least 20 times. Half. And Lynette is going, give me another clue. If they just kept going, half. John, if you're listening, I know John is usually listening in the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock hours. If you're awake, please text me that and I know there's no way you could ever have forgotten this. It's one of the funniest moments in our catchphrase history. Half. So never look at 25% or 1/4 the same ever again. It's half. I'm barely exaggerating, and I might not be exaggerating. That's how I remember it. I just kept remember hearing half a half. Now, it might not be hysterical to you hearing it, but trust me, in real time, when the clock was going, and I think you get like 30 seconds or something to get the clue. It's really quick. It was beyond hysterically funny. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Much more important content on the Hurley in the Morning program. Things such as the Border Patrol has released, Biden's not happy about this because they're releasing things. It is time to hold Joe Biden account for the horrific job that he has done here at home, around the world. Abject failure, disastrous president, the worst. Jimmy Carter is now not the worst president. God bless him. 1.85 million gotaways during the Biden presidency. 1.85 million gotaways. Now, in case you don't know exactly what a gotaway is a person that we know got in, but we don't know who they are. They didn't get processed. They don't have a court date for 8 years from now. Hi there, how you doing? Yes, you come back. We'll see you in 2030, 2032. See you then. I'm sure you'll be there. And they let them in the country. Gotaways, they just get in. Now, out of 1.85 million, and I say it's more than that, but let's just go with that number. 1.85 million. That is so funny. But Karen, you're conflating. catchphrase was not that movie game. My sister just wrote me how much fun we had, and she put, remember how bad Jim was? Now, we're not going to say Jim's last name, but Jim might be listening right now. We have this movie game that we also played at Congress Hall, and it was a lot of fun. Jim brought up how great he is at this movie game. And I kid you not, and we love him dearly, and he is really smart, but he was terrible. The worst. Not only was he not the best, he was undoubtedly the worst. So, Karen, yes, I remember how bad Jim was, but that wasn't catchphrase. That was the movie game. All right, we'll be back and maybe talk a little more. I'm not going to talk a lot about the gotaways. It's sort of self-evident. 1.85 million that they're copping to. And imagine what percentage of that 1.85 million are criminals and very, very bad in other ways. You know, you're hearing about these gangs. It's so sophisticated now. These illegals that are getting in, they're putting cameras on people's properties. They case your joint before they strike. This is unbelievable what's going on. But just ponder, at 1.85 million gotaways, what percentage of them? Because remember, if you're trying to avoid detection, that doesn't mean that every single one is horrifically bad. But there's got to be a percentage of them that are really bad news. People that will rape, murder, violent, very, very bad people. I don't know what the percentage is, but it is a certain percentage that I'm sure of, unknown. But out of 1.85 million, what if it's 1%? And I think it's more than that. What if it's 10%? 185,000. What if it's more than that? I would think out of 100%, it's probably 50-50. Maybe worse. We'll be back. Don't go away.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine.
Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Play WPG. This is Harry Hurley for my friends at Ambient Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning Professionals and their $59 air conditioning tune-up special for new customers. There are many, many hot days ahead, and the sooner you discover a problem, the easier the repairs tend to be. You may already have noticed that your system is not cooling your home like it used to. And boy, if you're noticing it now, imagine when the heat really strikes and is here to stay for a number of months. And while the price of just about everything has gone up, Ambient Comfort's tune-up special is the same affordable price, which is really phenomenal in the current environment where everything costs more. It's still just $59 for new customers, and it's well worth it. Their certified technicians will perform a thorough precision tune-up on your system to make sure it's safe and running at maximum efficiency, regardless of who originally installed it. When comfort matters, choose who I choose. Choose Ambient Comfort. Schedule your tune-up now at ambientcomfortnj.com. That's ambientcomfortnj.com. Or call 609-568-0955. That's 609-568-0955 for your $59 AC tune-up for new customers. Tell them Harry Hurley sent you to Ambient Comfort. By the way, I think I'm very precise in what I say, But I did get a note that said, and I read it on my iWatch, so I didn't see all the detail, but I saw enough. And it said 100% of them are bad. I was very specific with what I said. I don't mind getting notes, but I was very specific with what I said. And I've many times have said on this program, they're all illegal. And I've even shared things that a lot of people don't even know. Every single illegal that comes into this country, they have broken 3 laws the second they set foot in our country. But I'm not going to call everyone bad. There are some absolutely beautiful people seeking a better life, maybe fleeing from, oppression and different things like that. That doesn't mean they deserve to be here illegally. I'm clear on that. You've got to do it the legal way. It's unfair to the people who do it the right way, and we can't have this type of policy. But I'm going to absolutely push back. They're not 100% bad. They're 100% illegal, but they're not 100% bad. There's a difference. If you want to call the same word bad and lump everybody in at 100%, child molesters, rapists, murderers, drug dealers, human traffickers, gang members, if you're going to put them in the same category of some nuclear family that's escaping oppression and a horrible, horrible circumstance, sorry, I'm not playing your game. So consider playing mine. They are 100% illegal, but they're not 100% bad. The bad ones, as President Trump would say, there's some bad hombres. There are bad ones in there. So if I need to be more precise about it, I'm separating the difference between a gun smuggler, a drug dealer, a human trafficker, a gang member. I'm separating them out from others that are illegally here, but not bad people. There is a difference. This is hysterical, what I'm about to share with you. The Biden campaign, if that's not oxymoronic, if there even is such a thing, they say it's stay the course after a Trump verdict. It's kind of interesting how they're leaking how Biden's going to give a speech after the verdict. It's like they already know the verdict. Isn't that kind of interesting? Even though every expert that's followed the case said that there's no case here, that there never should have been a case here, and that they didn't prove their case, and the witnesses that they put on, Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels, all this, but yet all their language makes you feel like they know the verdict before it happens. I just point out these observations, and you decide what you believe that means. I would have never put out that the president is making a speech after the verdict, because what if President Trump is exonerated? This really means Biden's giving a speech if Trump is convicted, is what it means. And they've done everything they can. If he's not convicted, then, God himself intervened, because they have stacked this every way that you can. I was giving thought to something, and I don't know if this crossed your mind. And it really didn't cross my mind in this precise way until yesterday. And I thought, you know what? There's 2 lawyers on this jury. I never liked that to begin with. And by the way, no surprise, one of them is the foreman of the jury. So, surprise, not. But one of them is a corporate lawyer. Now, can you imagine that corporate lawyer going back to work if this jury has exonerated President Trump? Think about that. I've always been concerned. You know, I love the movie Runaway Jury. I'm probably going to watch it this weekend. I watch it at least once a year. I love the movie. I hate the premise, but I love the movie. And I have this theory. There are certain actors, Gene Hackman. I defy you to find a bad Gene Hackman movie. There are some actors that, and look, they'll even admit maybe once in a while they've done it for a paycheck or whatever. Not every movie is their absolute, finest hour. But by and large, if Gene Hackman's in the movie, it's watchable. It's a good movie. And I will tell you, Runaway Jury, you have Gene Hackman, you have John Cusack, you have Rachel Weisz. It is a great movie. And in my mind, and if they had more preemptory challenges, neither of those attorneys would be on the panel. In my mind, I'm thinking about how, you've all been around a group and a decision that has to be made, and you have people that say nothing and just go along. You have people who are very outspoken. You have people who try to dominate. This is a exercise in human behavior. And just imagine how many times it probably will be said, well, I'm a lawyer. And then because then what they say next is supposed to matter more than what somebody else thinks. Well, what do you mean? Because I'm like a biological engineer? You're a lawyer? And there isn't a biological engineer, but I'm just trying to make a quick point at the end of the hour here. That came to me yesterday that, does that corporate lawyer want to go back to work?
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. 6 minutes past the hour. 609-407-1450. Phone lines are open. There was an article that I read about 4 hours ago. And it began, typically, if your political opponent is convicted of a felony, it is considered a rare gift. But as the world anticipates a verdict in Donald Trump's criminal case in New York, President Joe Biden's campaign does not plan to change course even for a guilty verdict. Now, let me just quickly comment on that. He doesn't have to. The Democrat media, all of his Democrat allies, but he does comment, though. For example, when he was doing something snarky last week, he said something like, I'll debate Trump anywhere, and I understand you're free on Wednesdays. So they want to always have their cake and eat it too. Act like they're statesman-like and not involved. Come on. How does anybody write? This is so unserious. How do you write something like this? Acting like they are separate and apart. Joe Biden is the architect. And again, he's incoherent, but it's him by abstentia. It's his people, his team. The whole thing is a Biden exercise, an enterprise. But they get to act like they're not involved. They don't have to be. If you know the whole Democrat media is going to do all of your dirty work for you, quote, Biden aides are happy to let other Democrats, no kidding, and allies paint Trump as a felon. Strategists have decided to keep the president's focus on legislative accomplishments, threats to democracy, and abortion access. Okay? Well, let's break some of that down. Legislative accomplishments, give me a break. There are a lot of them, but they're all terrible. Raising debt to levels never seen before. All this other Biden socialist stuff. I wouldn't be running on that. Threats to democracy, because they keep saying Trump is a threat to our democracy. They're the threat to our democracy. They are the ones that have weaponized every aspect of the government, the DOJ. Look, a lot of people have said this, and I'm one of them. I never thought I would see Soviet-style, complete just abuse of our criminal justice system. I mean, this is scary. There's a jury that may convict the former president, the leading candidate to be the next president, and they may convict him over a case that has no right whatsoever to have been brought forward. Now, if he is found guilty, I am telling you, whether it's 6 months from now, a year from now, a year and a half from now, sometime in the next year or so, there will be a smackdown of Bragg, of Juan Merchan, and all those who were involved with doing this, the likes of which we have probably never seen. I encourage you, go to the unanimous decision when the Supreme Court overturned Jack Smith and all those horrifically bad people who did what they did to former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell. I said it in real time. He was getting absolutely railroaded. Very similar techniques to what was done in this case. This is next level, but very, very similar. And the Supreme Court 9-0 reversed Jack Smith. It is going to be epic, but of course it will be too late. So then if there is a conviction, the only thing that we can hope for is that the American people process it the way they have processed everything to date. The only difference here is, though, there would have been a jury conviction if it happens. And again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I don't want to ignore the potential that it could happen. I'm not even sure that I'm ready to say it's the leading contender right now. There's 3 things, 4, but the 4th is not an option because Merchan will not dismiss. He never intended to, and I told you that. He should have. He should have ended this case. They didn't prove it. He should have ended it. Instead, he participated in what I believe is a conspiracy to convict Trump. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible what's been done here. And it kept getting worse. And I tried to prepare you the best that I could that the jury instructions would be unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's not that they were an hour and 40 minutes. That's longer than it should have been. And it is New York. It's not Merchan on this. New York doesn't allow the jurors to have a printed copy of the instructions. We're not in the 1800s. They should have been given the 56 pages because now this morning begins with them needing instructions read to them, reread. You can't, no matter what notes you take, you can't remember an hour and 40-minute instructions if 56 pages equates to 1 hour and 40 minutes to read it to the jury. They should have that to refer to. In a way, and I will tell you, it's actually to Trump's benefit that they don't, though. because his instructions were terrible. Really, really bad. Very, very biased. Everybody that's been objective has said, I mean, Mershon actually overruled an objection to something that he agrees with. He was that deceptive. This is how bad he was. He just overrule everything. It's literally in American history, and I'm sure in days gone by, you know, there have been in jurisdictions that we don't even know about, people have been railroaded with crooked prosecutors and crooked judges getting paid off and all kinds of bad things. I'm not saying there haven't been bad things before, but to charge a president like this is abominable. And they could. I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be a hung jury. But they could get a conviction. I always remind you about the Atlantic City police officer Tad DiLorenzo jury, and they thought they were doing a good thing, and they convicted him. You have no idea. They're in a bubble. They're bonding with this Mershon, and they get his instructions, and they hear what they hear, and they don't hear what they don't hear. I am absolutely ruling in that, and it would be, I know it will be reversed, but I'm absolutely ruling in that Trump could get convicted here. You have to acknowledge that, because it is hangs in the balance right now. These 12 people have the power to convict the leading candidate to be the next president of the United States, and they could convict him, if they want, of multiple felonies. None of it is true. It's all fake. It's all made up out of whole cloth. But they got it. You almost have to like give them credit in the worst macabre sort of way. They actually got this to the finish line. They may not get what they want. Now, remember my earlier prediction. If it's a hung jury, Alvin Bragg will immediately announce that they will be retrying President Trump. Seconds or minutes after the verdict. All right, your calls are coming up, and you will be first. Hang in there. Your calls are coming up right after this. Don't go away. At 16 minutes past the hour, this is
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
Honesty and transparency, is not afraid to get down and dirty and really just tell me the truth.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
And the problem is that jurors do not have, he's saying jurors don't have to agree unanimously on what crime Trump committed. And that is all cinder blocks again on the scales of justice, because the U.S. Supreme Court has held unanimity in jury verdicts is absolutely required under the 6th Amendment and the 7th Amendment of our Constitution. And that requirement extends to all issues. You don't get to say, well, I think he's guilty for reason A, and I think he's guilty for reason B, and I think he's guilty for reason C. To find somebody guilty, as per the U.S. Supreme Court, jurors must always agree without dissent on every necessary element of the purported crime.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
Hey guys, breaking news. Did you hear that gold hit an all-time high? And based on market analysis, it could soar even higher. With inflation increasing, global tensions escalating, and central banks buying gold at record levels, the gold boom could skyrocket to over $7,000 an ounce. In fact, experts claim that the gold investing menace is just getting started. And that's why we partnered with the highest rated gold company, Goldco. They have earned over 5,000 five-star reviews from tens of thousands of happy customers who have diversified their savings with gold and silver. Today, Goldco is offering you up to 8 years in free IRA fees plus 8% instant match in bonus silver with a qualified account. Call 855-815-GOLD for free IRA fees, bonus silver, and a free gold and silver info kit. What are you waiting for? Join the tens of thousands of people who have already joined the gold rush and diversified their savings with gold and silver. Call 855-815-GOLD now. That's 855-815-GOLD now.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Breathe.
Hurley in the morning.
It's breaking news that I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. Welcome back. Another prediction we made last week, and it did come promptly, which is the right thing, and it got way out of control. All charges have been dropped against the number one golfer in the world, American golfer Scottie Scheffler. So that's good news. That was just a bad situation that got way out of hand. You know, they got him in an orange jumpsuit. It lickety split. I mean, it was just terrible. Absolutely terrible. But, you know, he's got to go get that all expunged and stuff because he has that. He now has an arrest record. And a very sad thing, if Trump gets convicted, he'll ultimately have it all thrown out. But he'll have a criminal record. He does now. He was charged. He has an arrest record. You know, you fill out forms. Have you ever been arrested? You have to write yes, or he's committing a crime there. It's terrible. And the Democrats, and they don't care, they have changed our country forever. Because once you do this, this every expression you want to conjure up, this crosses the Rubicon. This opens up Pandora's box. I mean, I'll keep going if you want. This changes everything. Nothing will ever be the same again. And it's made me, because I never, ever played their game before. But guess what? Biden has to be criminally charged. Who's that punk Attorney General? Merrick Garland. He's got to be charged. Fat Bragg, Juan Merchan, Niedermeyer. I mean, it's got to be done. They can't be allowed to get away with this. This can no longer be that Navarro, Bannon, Stone, Trump, Republicans get crushed and nothing happens to Democrats. Sorry, it's a terrible thing. I don't like it, but it's game on now. The only thing I will say, though, is I will never support doing it to someone that is innocent. They'll do that. That's how far they will go. They don't care. But this has to be, there has to be an equal and opposite reaction to all of this. We'll see what happens. Only time will tell. 609-407-1415 open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry. It's a great day in the city of Brigantine.
Good to know.
You caught me eating my Jersey strawberries.
Nice.
Anyway,
nice.
Yeah. So this judge, you started talking about this before. My understanding is that there are 24 sitting judges, and they rotate, and the cases as they come up are just handed out willy-nilly based on who's up next. Now, my understanding also is that Merchan is not one of those 24. They just put him in. So what are the odds this guy winds up with, as you say, the Trump Organization trial, this current trial, and then the Steve Bannon trial? What are the odds of that happening?
Beyond anything we could plug in and agree that it's even possible, let alone probable. On the other hand, judge shopping and rigging, that is very likely.
Yes. And as I coined a new phrase, sort of, so every one of the judges in these cases is corrupt. You all that Engeron, okay? They're all corrupt. Even the guy in Georgia, he's corrupt. He's a nobody. So I say if you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Good one. Well, yeah, they all are alike in that respect. They're all part of this lawfare that's going on. I actually have unique contempt for McAfee, the Georgia judge, because he pretends, at least Mershon is not pretending to be fair. I think it was, one of our listeners, May, wrote it to me. Jonathan Turley picked up on something when Mershon one day said to the defense, "Are you ready?" And then he said to the prosecution, "Are we ready?" You get what I just said, Andy?
Oh, yes.
And I believe that did happen. I wasn't there, so I sometimes I have to only repeat what I hear because none of us were in the courtroom. But just think about whether you want to say Freudian slip or whatever. Are you ready to the defense team? Because he's not on the defense team. Prosecution team, are we ready? Now, look, we've all, I guess we all haven't done this, but most of us have done this. Use the term we a little bit loosely. Maybe not literally meaning that we're on the same team, but are we ready? It's probably been uttered by almost everybody. But when you say back to back, are you ready? And then to the other team you say, are we ready? That's not nothing.
Well, as Rush Limbaugh always said, words mean things.
Yep.
And the way things are worded, and you know that the Democrats are great at this, the way they word things, the way they phrase things, the positions of words in sentences meant to get some kind of message across to whoever their base is, okay? So that's that topic.
Well, okay, words mean things. Let me read this to you, Andy, and tell me what you think of this. This is Judge Juan Mershon, page 31 of his 56-page jury instructions. Quote, although you must conclude unanimously that the defendant conspired to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means, you need not be unanimous as to what those unlawful means were. What do you think of that one?
We have to pass the bill in order to find out what's in it.
Right.
I mean,
he's telling them they have to be unanimous, but then literally in the same sentence tells them they don't have to be unanimous. And we wonder why they're asking for his instructions to be reread to them first thing this morning.
That statement by the judge on its face is unconstitutional.
Well, yeah, it's a violation of many things. I'll tell you another thing that's a violation of President Trump's Fifth Amendment rights. You have the absolute right to know the charges that you face. They ran an entire 6-week trial, and they did not name the crimes until the final closing summation after the defense had already rested their case and had their closing statement, because in New York, unlike most places, the defense goes first. And I mean, everything is rigged about this corrupt state. It's unbelievable. So they never got to even learn what the charges were until after the case was already over, which means they couldn't respond to any of them. And not to mention, they couldn't get Brad Smith, the former FEC chairman. It's not like he was a friend of theirs. He's the former chairman of the Federal Election Commission. They wouldn't let him talk about FEC, but Mershon allowed Pecker and Michael Cohen to be the experts before the jury. Andy, this is incredulous.
So it's just like when someone is declared incompetent to stand trial, because to stand trial, you have to be of sound mind to understand what you're being charged with. That's why Joe Biden the guy said that he couldn't put him on trial basically because he's insane or he's demented, whatever, senile. So that's what's happening here. So they had no chance to address these charges. But it's the same thing.
Right, in the charging documents and in the opening statement and in every aspect of the trial, they never brought up any tax issues or anything like that. Now it's one of the three charging issues at the add-on charges that they were able to take misdemeanors that had expired, the statute of limitations, and turn this into felonious. So, right, they never got to respond because it was never brought up.
Well, Harry, it's the same thing they did with the January 6th committee. They wouldn't allow anybody to testify that would help President Trump.
Right, and by the way, that's awful and it's egregious, but this is our court system. This is the judicial system of the United States of America. That was a political hack commission. So that's terrible. Don't get me wrong. I heard you loud and clear, and I agree with you. But this is a court of law where your freedom is potentially on the line, and they got away with doing this.
Who's the guy on Shark Tank? Is it Kevin O'Leary?
Yes.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful.
So I was watching him yesterday, and he was saying, regardless of the outcome, so it wasn't like he was taking a side here, okay? But he said, look at what, if you look at the United States basically as a company, as a business, look what this trial does to our brand.
Correct.
Our brand in the world.
Yep.
But if you understand that, then you understand that this is the work. Again, I always bring this up. This is Barack Hussein Obama, who wanted to knock this country down several pegs so that we were just like the rest of the world. He believes everybody hates us because we're so powerful and we're so wealthy and blah, blah. If we would just knock ourselves down so that we're like everybody else, then people would love us. And that's why they're flooding us with all these people from all these other countries, which brings me to the next topic, which is the immigration. So you were talking about bad people and all that. Okay. So here's the deal. These people who are coming in are bad in the sense that they're bad for our country in the sense that their first act stepping foot here is that they do not respect our laws. So if you don't respect our laws, then are you the kinds of people we want coming to the country? People come here are supposed to add to the country, not detract.
Couldn't agree more. They're illegal. They've committed 3 crimes by the time they got here, and they should be deported immediately and then given an opportunity to apply and do it the right way. And maybe in 7 years, you're a citizen, but you don't deserve to walk in here and get all the rights and cut in the front of the line. You destroy immigration when you do it the way that Biden has done it.
And that's the thing. You've got people who come here with these asylum claims. You know, the fact that your country sucks doesn't mean that you can just come here and walk through or drive through or fly through 5 other countries. You have to go to the first country you get to when you leave your country that sucks. You don't get to fly halfway around the world or take a bus through 5 countries and then come here and then get on the dole and get all this free stuff. So in that sense, but Harry, think about it. 1.85 million gotaways, right?
Yes.
Now, Harry, all it has to be is 19 people. Look what happened on 9/11. If 19 of those 1.85 million are terrorists, like the 9/11 hijackers, 19 people. Look at what they did.
Yeah, and I think out of the 1.85 million, and I think that number is low, but let's just use it because they admit it, and I love using their numbers. I think it's more. You're starting to now hear the number that we've been talking about, 15, 17 million illegals since Joe Biden has been here. They only admit to 6. But since they lie about everything, you know they're lying about that. So I'll use the 1.85 million that I used earlier last hour and say that that's correct, even though I know it's low. Hundreds of thousands of them are really bad people, guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they not only got here illegal, but a lot of the people that get here illegally immediately want to go to the processing people because they know they're going to get stuff and so on and so forth and have an opportunity to stay. If you bypass that, it's my opinion, you've got to have a reason for doing that.
Did you see Bill Malugin's report where he actually interviews one of these guys who came here illegally as he crossed the border? He was asking everybody where they were from.
Yep.
So this one guy, yeah, he's illegal. He admits it. He came here, blah, blah, blah. But even he's angry because he says, I'm a decent guy. He said, but you look at these other people, Harry, how many of them were from Muslim countries? And they're passing themselves off as like people from South America because of the dark skin and everything.
And a lot of people right now, Andy, are coming from China as well. I mean, China is sending people into this country, as President Trump would say. They're not sending their best. No,
that might be the scariest group of all because. I mean,
let me tell you something, and they're on the West Coast for now, but that's not going to last. You've heard of the Chilean gangs, right?
Yes.
These Chilean gangs are actually putting elaborate video equipment at people's homes, casing the joint before they strike. These are very savvy criminals. I mean, the element that's being brought in by Joe Biden, it's just another reason. It's one of the biggest, but just another reason why he has to be fired. He cannot. Can you imagine if Biden gets 4 more years?
Well, think about this, Harry. Why is Joe Biden repeatedly going to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania? If you remember, Mitt Romney, we were told that Mitt Romney did not get a single vote in the entire city of Philadelphia when he ran against Obama. Not one. So you have to assume then that Philadelphia is a Democrat city. 100% of the people who voted there voted for Barack Obama.
And remember, more than 100% voted in Philly.
Yes. So why of all the places Joe Biden would be going, is he going to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? It should be a piece of cake.
Well, like I've often said, Andy, and I know you've heard me say it, Republicans want to earn your vote. Democrats are about recording votes.
Well, and you know what's really sad, Harry, and I watched all these people that were at this event for Biden yesterday, these black Americans. It is so sad that after 60 years, that there is still a large percentage, a majority, of the black population who buys into this pandering that happens every 4 years, and then 3 months after the election, they don't even know they exist.
All right, let me say this real quick before we go to the break, because I'm way late. I'm 7 minutes late. I got to go. I hear you on that. But I want to be the optimist on this point. Biden is at 70% support. The typical, even a Robert Byrd, Grand Kleagle of the KKK, would get 93 to 95% of the African-American vote. Biden is at 70%. Trump is at 21 to 23%, depending on the survey. Biden knows this. And this is why they're going to do this full court press. They said Trump is pandering to blacks and everything that Biden's doing right now. If Trump stays at that 20 percentile, Biden cannot win re-election. It is over. So this is what this is all about. To be continued, Andy. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Hope you'll join me next on the Hurley in the Morning program.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you, Harry Hurley. 38 minutes past the hour with 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. The New Jersey State PBA wants new policing policies after the Ocean City and Wildwood juvenile chaos over the weekend. They're absolutely right. It was terrible changes that the Democrats made in New Jersey. It's got to be corrected. Criminally charged Atlantic City school principal has turned on the mayor and his wife. Read about that. A lot of you have. Tens of thousands of you have.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. It is wet out there this morning, but as low pressure departs and high pressure builds in, we'll see improving weather through the rest of the morning. Fog will break. We'll see partly sunny skies today and cooler temperatures. High this afternoon, 74. Tonight, mainly clear and kind of chilly, low 52. Sunny and dry for both tomorrow and Saturday. High tomorrow, 75, 78 on Saturday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Please, starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. Welcome back. 42 minutes past the hour. This portion of Hurley in the morning brought to us in part by Congress Hall. Congress Hall is America's first seaside resort. That's pretty amazing in and of itself. And they've done a great job over more than 200 years. Imagine that. I mean, that is rarefied as it gets. This is a property that presidents have gone to, other dignitaries. I mean, it is just an incredible property. And Curtis has done such a great job respecting the history of the property, but also making it modern with all the conveniences that people want for today. And it's rare to be able to get both, because you really wouldn't want something that's over 200 years old that wouldn't have Wi-Fi and wouldn't have some of the other modern conveniences that you want. But the way they've done it is so amazing. The fixtures in the restrooms and all of it. When you walk in, the marble floor, the flags down History Hallway, it's just incredible. So there is that American charm that's felt from the moment that you walk through the door. An overnight stay at Congress Hall feels like you're stepping into your own little cottage by the sea, and they pair it with world-class amenities. Healthy indulgences at Congress Hall's Sea Spa on the first floor. Hearty farm fresh favorites at the Blue Pig Tavern. Cocktails at the Brown Room Lounge. Pizza, DJ, dancing, and more down in the Boiler Room. Simply put, Congress Hall has it all. And while it's still spring, even though June is, wow, tomorrow's the last day of May. It's flying. But while it's still spring, enjoy a spring stay. You'll get a better rate, and the crowds are less. CapeResorts.com/Congress Hall to reserve. Congress Hall is America's first seaside resort. All right, I feel that a sort of clarification statement is necessary. I check some of my digital contacts. You hear this phone go bananas every day of the week. I leave it on. I mean, I want people to write. I want to read what you had to say. And I think that people are concerned that I've already said that President Trump has been convicted. I plead not guilty to that. I haven't said that. I'm preparing you that when a game is rigged, there's only so much. I mean, if you're playing against the referees and the rules of the game have been changed, I mean, think about this. This is it's mounting. It's daunting. It's breathtaking. The way that they have rigged this entire event. You object, it's overruled. They object, it's sustained. This Mershon has interrupted the defense when they're speaking. It is sick what is going on. So I feel, as someone that has spent almost 32 years with you on a daily basis, that I've always owed you the truth. And I just can't spin. I mean, I could be really good at that, but I don't do it. I always tell you what I know, and I tell you what I think. And when I look at something and I see that the game is so decidedly rigged in the favor of one side, I would feel that I'm being dishonest to you if I didn't point out that you can't be shocked if there's a guilty verdict here. I'm certainly pulling for acquittal, and that would be amazing under the rules of this trial. I mean, imagine you're a defendant and you didn't find out what you were charged with until the prosecution was delivering their closing argument. And you're done at that point. I don't know that that's ever happened to a defendant in America in history. So they tell the jury at the end about tax charge and this and that, these three other things that never got talked about during the whole trial. So I've just got to be honest that the way this game has been played, it has been played for the prosecution to win. Even that small item that I shared with Mershon saying, are you ready to the defense and are we ready to the prosecution? Just that is a level of bias. And with Mershon, that might have been completely unconscious. A Freudian slip, whatever. But just look at what has gone on for the 6 weeks. Think about the jury instructions. And then telling them they don't even have to be, you have to be unanimous, but you don't have to be unanimous. No one's ever done that one before. So again, in keeping with our theme of, for a long time, I've been telling you, you're going to see things you've never, ever seen before. I've got to get the last break in. Dan, you're going to close out the hour with me as soon as we come back. It's 49 minutes past the hour on the Hurley in the Morning program. Stay with me. So again, I'm leaning towards still a hung jury. I don't see acquittal, even though he should be acquitted, President Trump. I don't see that at this point. That's only because of what Mershon has allowed to take place in this trial. Back in just a few minutes. Don't go away.
In a world full of fake news, AI, and unverified information on social media, where can you get the latest, most accurate South Jersey news? WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Don't wait for the newspaper to come in the mail. The WPG Talk Radio app is updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Accurate, dependable, reliable. When you need to know, it's WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio. Hurley in the Morning.
They really do separate fact from fiction.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Yep, it's what we do. 54 minutes past the hour. Back to your calls. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning, Dan.
I see a lot of unbelievable deception. I mean, what they really want, they don't want a conviction. They want because they can't get it. They're going to get a mistrial because the hung jury, and then Bragg wants to immediately retry the case.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. The moment, if it is, and I hope you're right, Dan, I'm not that moved by the fact they want to reread testimony from Pecker and Michael Cohen. See, for those who don't know, Michael Cohen's word cannot be taken in this case by itself, not because he's a convicted liar and all those reasons. It can for that, too. But the New York law is that you can't rely on just one person. You need another person to corroborate. This is why Pecker was one of their witnesses, because they knew that he would say there was a meeting and Michael Cohen said, this and Donald Trump said that. So they're going to try, I think, to have Pecker be the reason why what Cohen is saying can be used as fact and then convict President Trump. I still don't believe that's the leading scenario. I'm with you. I think that it will be a hung jury. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I believe it is there is evidently one person. Nobody has revealed who this person is, but there is one person on this jury that is visibly favorable to Trump. That seems to be established. And guess what, my friend? That's all you need is one.
Oh, yeah, and it's a great strategy for a lot of people said for the defense. No, it's for the prosecution. And this idea, the defense going first was the scenario of setting up all these. We finally found the crime in the 11th hour.
Seriously, Dan, how could a judge allow the charges to actually come out? 3 different charges come out in the final summation of the prosecution where the defense never had a chance to respond to it. And then the jury gets instructed that you don't even have to agree on one of them. If 4 of you say one and 4 of you say another and 4 of you say yet another, I'll count that as unanimous. This is crazy what's going on.
I would say that would probably be the White House's and Colangelo's plan the whole time.
Well, it definitely was their plan. Their plan was to never put any charges out there. They really don't have any. And I don't want to give them credit for being brilliant. I think at the end they realized, hey, we didn't win. We lost here. We better bring something up. And so they lay out the charges. And that should never even be allowed. How can a judge allow that to end like that? He doesn't believe in the Fifth Amendment that says that the accused has the right to know what they're charged with? This is crazy what's going on.
Yeah, and the second one, that'll be the speedy trial routine where you go right back and you have to go back fast, even though that's the defense's right to prepare for the new trial. They'll say, oh, no, we have the speedy trial thing going on. What?
Well, they'll have to present it again. They just don't get another trial. They have to start all over again. But there's no doubt there are all these cases backlogged. They will, of course, put the Trump case right back to the top.
Yeah, I would definitely go for immediate Supreme Court review on this because it's definitely called for here.
But they won't get it, Dan. You've got to, unfortunately, you have to go to this corrupt New York appellate court. And this is the problem. If Trump is convicted, his first appeal will be to the same court that denied taking away the gag order and denied everything else that they ever appealed to them. He'll lose there. But what if they just take their time? There's no law that they have to give him an expeditious decision. They can just take their time, kick the can. This will go on past the election, and Trump will probably lose at the appellate level, New York state appellate level, and then he's going to for sure win it ultimately, but by then the election is long over.
Well, there's nothing to appeal if you're going to just introduce a new trial. My thing is, if you introduce a new trial, then you're definitely committing election interference, and that's when the feds could come in at that point.
I hear you. I don't see it, though. I mean, this is Merrick Garland and Joe Biden. They should have come in and said, you don't have the right to bootstrap this federal case. You don't have that right either. And they got away with that, Dan. To be continued, my friend. We're at the end of the hour. Great to be with you. John Zarek joins the program next. It is the Hurley in the Morning program.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame. You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. It's 6 minutes past the hour. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Smart Law with John Zarek, presented and sponsored by the law offices of John Zarek, who are the official and exclusive lead counsel for criminal defense matters for the Hurley in the Morning program. And a reminder for all of your criminal defense needs, if you're dealing with any kind of issue, whether it is what you think is a routine trip through municipal court or as serious as, this rough and tumble game of life can become, turn to John, and you'll be very, very pleased that you did. John and Brendan and Stephanie and the entire team at the law offices of John Zarek. John, I am extremely troubled this morning, and I don't often say words like that because you know me for a long time. I'm very even-keeled.
What did I do now, Harry?
You didn't do anything, but I'm a very even-keeled person. I'm pretty much the same every day. This trial and the grave injustice that has been done, and I'm saying that even before the decision, which I'm still hopeful is, 2 out of 3 options are, good for the president. So I'm not throwing the towel in or resigned to the fact that a guilty verdict is assured. I just have never witnessed anything like this, John.
Yeah.
This guy created a scenario where he said, you don't even have to be unanimous.
Sure.
I've never heard of anything like this. Juan Mershon.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
It's a very bad situation all the way around. It's not just New York. It's all the prosecutions. They've created they've essentially mortally wounded. Now, some mortal wounds pull out. Some people, 5%.
You can recover.
You say they're going to die. This is mortal. This is the end. But somehow they make it. So we may make it as a country, but this has started really the destruction of our constitutional system.
I couldn't agree more. Let me ask you about this specifically. The whole trial for 6 weeks, we kept waiting. What are these fantastical charges that miraculously take misdemeanors that the statute of limitation had run its course and expired and enabled this case to be brought in the first place? They didn't tell the jury until the closing summation of the prosecution, which in New York, as you know, goes last. In many states and many jurisdictions, the defense gets to go last. I think defense should get to go last because, the whole way that our system works, it's supposed to be the prosecution that has to prove the case. That's when they brought up IRS things and this and that, 3 things. The defense never got to know the charges. They put their whole case on. They rested. They did their closing summation. And then the jury gets this information. How is this allowed?
Yeah, well, when you have the situation rigged, then it's easy to allow it.
But I mean, the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution says that a defendant has the right to know what they're charged with.
Yeah.
Trump didn't get that.
Do people in Moscow who are being prosecuted or thrown in jail say, "Oh my God, how does this happen in our country?"
But I did use that example, John. At least in Moscow, an American that's just scooped up like this Hershkovich, the Wall Street Journal guy, he got to know what he's charged with. Now he has no chance, but at least they told him what he's charged with. Trump didn't even get told what he's charged with.
Yeah, it's again, it's a stacked deck. These prosecutions are a conspiracy. Now, you don't have to have a written contract to say we're going to conspire to do this, that, or the other. It can be understood. It can be by, communication, direct, indirect. So everybody knows the game. Everybody knows that they're out to get Trump to prevent him from being the president, to have Joe Biden win the next time around. So that's what's going on. And
they're going to get, if he's convicted, they're going to get away with calling him a convicted felon And, of course, he's going to win on appeal, probably not New York appellate court. This is just, it enrages me.
Well, you're not a convicted felon until
you're sentenced.
Until you're sentenced.
But they're going to do that within a month.
Well, we don't know.
Oh,
we don't know
on.
how much can
Come
be.
on.
We don't know how much that we've had sentencings stretch out many, many months because of various.
But you're speaking about something that the fix is not in.
Oh, these
Juan Merchan is not going to wait months to, and he might do something absolutely unbelievable. I don't think he's going to send President Trump if he's convicted. And I hate to talk in these terms because it's blowing my mind that this could even be possible. I don't think he's going to send him to Rikers Island, and maybe not even give him a prison sentence. He might give him probation, house arrest. What if he put the leading candidate for president of the United States in house arrest, where he would not be able to campaign?
Sure. I
mean, we would have a civil war in our country, John.
Yeah. I don't understand why we don't have, I don't advocate it, certainly. I don't understand why we don't have violence yet, because it's really, really bad. I mean, what they're doing is they're changing our country, which was really the beacon of hope around the world, the way we do things. We run our elections fairly in general. We submit to the rule of civilians, not backdoor bosses. And we don't have that. We're now in the third world domain. We're now in the third world country method of, as soon as you get elected, you lock up your opponent, whoever it was before and whoever it might be the next time around. And that's the way it works in many, many, many countries. And unfortunately, there are going to be Republicans all over the country, in real red states, screaming for prosecution of Democrats, Democratic president, Democratic governor, Democratic senator, on a theory that this is, for example, if anybody spends money on campaigns in a red state, there are going to be people who want to, because of that connection with the state, to file criminal charges against them. And the only way this can stop, and it's ironic, but I think President Trump is up to it. The only way this can stop, and he knows how horrible this is now. He knows what it's like to be prosecuted for political reasons. The only way it could stop is he wins. He wins these cases. Mm-hmm. They get wiped away, and everybody will be screaming to prosecute lots of people on the Democratic side. Yeah. And Trump stands up and says, look, I know how bad this is. This will destroy our country if we do the same thing. I am not going to prosecute anyone. Any political opponents. We are going to show example to the country and to the world.
That would be amazing.
And I think he will do it. I think when he's elected, I think he'll do something like that, because otherwise we don't have a country. I mean, he has kids, he has grandkids. I'm sure soon he'll have great grandkids, and he doesn't want the kids growing up in a banana republic.
John, after the break, I'm going to pose the question to you now, and I also have a Ukraine-specific question that I want to pose to you. It reads, this is an expert saying Biden policies, aid delays, leave Ukraine on back foot. I want to talk about that. But when we come back, I want to get your take. There's only 4 possibilities, and one of them is completely off the table, because if Merchan was going to take matters into his own hands, he would have dismissed the case long ago. So that one's out. The only options now are acquittal, not guilty, unanimous not guilty, or hung jury. I want to get your take on what you think is potentially going to happen. And look, the jury could decide as soon as today. I don't know if they will, based on, they're asking to have the instructions reread. These instructions, if they want them all reread, took an hour and 40 minutes the first time. New York State has a law that the jury cannot be given a printed copy of the judge's instructions. I don't understand that. You're allowed to take notes, but you can't have a copy. So if they need to know something, then they got to go ask. So we'll get John's take on that and more as we continue Smart Law with John Zarek. And a reminder for all of your criminal defense legal needs, don't do as I say. I am telling you, this is what I would do. First call, 609-641-2266 to John Zarek and the law offices of John Zarek. They'll be with you every step of the way. 609-641-2266. We'll be back right after this. Smart Law with John Zarek on the Hurley in the Morning program continues.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning.
We need to just listen to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Makes me think about things a little bit differently.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back to Smart Law with John Zarek. Counselor Zarek continues at 19 minutes past the hour. So, Captain Obvious here, there can be a result of acquittal, conviction, hung jury. What's most likely in your opinion?
Hung jury.
That's what I think.
Yeah, because you have some people with sense on the jury, and
we hope,
that are not going to vote to convict, and then you have probably more people with Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah,
living in New York City,
there
who
appears
are going to vote to convict.
There appears to be one juror that they're pretty confident is favorable to Trump. They've seen the body language. They've seen the reaction to President Trump. They've seen the reaction when supporters – it was very smart when – and again, Trump has the gag order, so he couldn't coordinate it. But when people came that support Trump and started to speak, outside of the courtroom and things like that, and they came into the courtroom to observe the trial, this one juror was very favorable to them. So they believe they have at least one.
Yeah.
Now, do you think if there is only one, and you know how these things go, John, you get a lot of pressure starts getting built. If they keep voting and it's like 11-1, do you think they would try to get that one person kicked out and then they get an alternate put in?
No, they can't do that. They can't. They can make something up. They could
say this person's.
There was some communication that they come up with.
Yeah, they'll say he's a problem in the jury. In the jury room.
They can't do that unless he's punching somebody in the head. But they can maybe try to find some exterior reason, outside the courtroom that he shouldn't be on the jury if they think that. But more likely, what they're going to do is just ride it out and hope that the majority beat down the people that are pro-Trump.
Have you ever witnessed in your you're a very young man, but your lengthy career, a judge instruct a jury that you do not have to make a unanimous decision?
Yeah, and I know I've never had that. It has to be unanimous beyond a reasonable doubt, and all 12 people have to agree.
He said it doesn't have to be.
I don't understand what he was talking about. I didn't read the whole.
Let me tell you and see what you think of it.
I didn't read the jury charge. It may be a situation where he might be talking about certain facts which are not crucial to guilt.
Nope. Don't speculate, because I'm on this because I'm incensed about it.
Well, if I don't know anything, I have to speculate, Harry.
No.
That's what I do.
No. When I tell you, because it's unambiguous.
That's what I do in court.
No, you would be speculating if I didn't know the answer to the test.
Yeah.
I have the answer key, only because I have it right here in my phone. They added these 3 charges that made it now a felony and not a misdemeanor, because as you know, the misdemeanor counts, they would not be able to be brought forward because they were long ago and the statute of limitations ran its course. The 3 charges, this IRS thing, if they tax evasion or tax issues, because they even said if they didn't underpay taxes, you can still find them guilty of the tax thing. So they have the 3 bootstrapped felonies. The judge is saying that, say me, you, your brother, and Linda are 4 jurors, and we agree that he committed the tax crime. And then if 4 more jurors agree that he committed the other one, and if 4 more agree that he committed the other one, that he will accept that as unanimous.
Yeah. I think that's nonsense.
I know.
Total nonsense. I think that the Supreme Court has said now that cases have to be, verdicts have to be unanimous and beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the way it is. And now, there was a time when in the South, especially, there were, when black people started to be able to be on juries, they would, and a black person was getting railroaded by a all-white jury almost. The black person, 1 or 2, would vote to acquit because they knew or felt they knew that this was a bad deal. So what the states did was they changed their law and said you don't have to have a unanimous verdict. It can be 10, or it can be, it can
9
be
out of 12,
9 or whatever.
God.
In other words, it was a setup to nullify the vote of the verdict of the 1, 2, or 3 black jurors. Now that recently has been overturned. However, it didn't overturn the convictions of the people that were wrongfully, in my opinion, wrongfully convicted.
Terrible.
So in the old days.
God.
So that's so they can't. It has to be beyond reasonable doubt.
Isn't that remarkable, though, that he allowed these 3 charges to finally come in when the defense had no chance to even talk to the jury about? They would have answers for all of it, and he allowed these 3 charges to come in at the end, and then he instructed the jury that you have to be unanimous. However, you could pick any one of the 3 charges, and you don't have to be unanimous.
Yeah, are we surprised really at this?
I'm a little surprised at that because you talk about reversible error. I'll give you another one. It came up during the trial many, many times that the prosecution would bring up because Michael Cohen was convicted of certain things. The prosecution would say at the instruction of Donald Trump, Michael Cohen did this, this, and this, and they linked Trump to Cohen's crimes. But Trump's not charged with any of Cohen's crimes, not before and not during this trial. The judge one time told the jury that you cannot find the defendant responsible, guilty of this because Michael Cohen is. The prosecution dozens of times continue to say that Trump is guilty of federal election crimes.
Which would normally be a mistrial.
Exactly. And the defense objected, and Merchan overruled. Mm-hmm. He overruled himself.
Yeah.
I mean, this is staggering what has taken place.
Look, when you have people who are in charge of the government, and those people have power, and those people are ruthless and immoral, then what do you expect? What do you think? I mean, as I said, in Russia, is anybody surprised that that heroes of the people, that people who want reform, that people who are running for president get indicted?
No.
They all get indicted. If they're a serious candidate, they get arrested and they get put in jail.
Yeah, if they're lucky,
got murdered.
I was going to say, if you're real lucky, you get arrested. If you're not so lucky, you get killed.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But I just never thought I would ever see in America where there would be such a third world, as you called it, star chamber. This is beyond incredible.
This is a deliberate attack on the Constitution. Well, they're not interested necessarily in destroying the Constitution or our form of government, but they're so interested in prosecuting and convicting and putting Trump in jail and preventing him from being president, that they will destroy the Constitution if they have to. And that's what they're trying to do now. And they're on it's on the way. And there's no way to stop this, because
well, that's why I think the other side is
only President Trump, if elected, can stop this. He's the only one. He can say, look, I've been through this. I see what these people are. They're lower than Snake's belt buckle. They're no good.
I like that. Snake's belt buckle. Oh, my God. I'll never forget that. Imagine? I love that. That's low, John. That's low.
Yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time in the South.
Snake's buckle.
Oh,
my God. But how about this? Right before the bottom of the hour break, you have a situation where this guy Colangelo, number 3 in the Justice Department, leaves the Justice Department to join this prosecution.
Sure.
This is, and then if President Trump is convicted, and John, I hate to say it, I think there's a reasonable chance he is going to be convicted. It's a total outrage, and it will be overturned, but they'll get what they want out of it. The President Biden is then going to be making a speech from the White House. And he's behind the political prosecution.
Yeah. He's really, going. He's not in the gutter. He's down the sewer in the waste treatment plant.
It's true.
He's really, really gone. Totally disgusting. And he shows what he is. He's always been a liar. He's always been a thief of other people's work and other people's stories.
It's true.
He got driven out of the presidential campaign years back because he lifted whole stories out of thin air. They were someone else's story. And he said, I remember when I was working here on the line. He
still does that.
He
says he drives 18-wheelers.
He's had actually more jobs than any president in the United States. He's been a truck driver and you name it, he's done it.
It's like he looked at a truck and then he gets to say he drove the truck. It's Commander McBragg. It's really
it would be funny. I mean, it is humorous in a sense, but it's deadly serious because this is the guy who's trying to get rid of Trump. And I'll tell you another thing too. He's in support of the Ukraine war. He's in support, allegedly, in Ukraine defending themselves. Sort of. But he and Austin, I had hopes for Austin, Defense Secretary Austin, in the beginning.
Not me.
But they have botched that war horribly. I mean, they've spent a lot of money and they haven't given Ukraine the means to win the war.
Let's get the halftime break in. Yeah. When we come back, that is the question I wanted to pose to you, because this article that I read yesterday that I saved for today says Ukraine is being put, quote, on the back foot by policies of President Joe Biden's administration and delays in much-needed aid, which is what I pose to you every week on your show. John, are they really getting the aid? I know the vote happened, but are they really getting the stuff? This says they're not. Much more with John Zarek right after this. Don't go away.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
31 minutes past the hour with John Zarek. I am Harry Hurley with 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. The New Jersey State PBA, and I agree with them completely. They want new policies with dealing with juveniles that are committing offenses that right now the police can't do their jobs. With Ocean City, Wildwood, the chaos, it really puts us in focus. I agree completely with their position. The criminally charged Atlantic City school principal has turned on the mayor and the mayor's wife.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. Rain is gone and fog is lifting this morning, and now we fall back into a pleasant weather pattern with a few delightfully dry days on the way. Skies will become partly sunny this morning as we top out around 74 degrees this afternoon. A little cooler than it has been. Mainly clear tonight, low 52. Tomorrow will be sunny and dry with a high of 75. Saturday, sunny and dry, high 78. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City,
Brigantine,
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. We're back. It's 35 minutes past the hour. Smart Law with John Zarek continues. So what are your thoughts to this, Counselor, that this particular report says that Ukraine is being put, quote, on the back foot because of policies of President Joe Biden's administration and the delays in much-needed aid it needs to fight Russia, giving the larger nation, quote, the initiative across the entire theater, end quote. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's the same thing we've been talking about and other people have been talking about for a long time. In general, he's for supporting Ukraine. I mean, it's kind of insane not to. You know, like it's a country that was democratic, really an absence of discrimination because of the way the country came together, especially the Maidan Revolution in 2014. That's when a Putin stooge was the president.
Right.
And he was the whole country wants to be with the West and the United States. You know, it's really the United States, but they want to be with the European Union. They want to go West. They want to be, you know, oriented toward democracy.
They want to be a good guy.
Yeah, they want to be with the good guys.
Yep.
They hate Putin. They don't want to be. Even the Russian speakers hate Putin. So, you know, they in that Maidan Revolution, they had a very strange and historically significant thing happened. It was like a 1 in a million shot. What happened was there were millions of people in the street, and it wasn't just. In fact, one of my friends she was a supplier, a food supplier. She'd, you know, make sandwiches, get water, and take them to the frontline fighters. Not just the crowd, the people that were with guns and shooting back and forth with the stooges from the government. And what they did was they had, at that time, there was the reason there's no discrimination in the country now, and they're really a brother and sisterhood like you've never seen, is because at that time they had in one group an Orthodox priest, a Ukrainian Catholic priest, a Protestant evangelical, a Romani guy, a gypsy, commonly known as gypsies, and a rabbi. And those five stuck together. And they went every place together, and they checked in on all the groups and all the people constantly the whole time. This went on for, you know, a month.
Unity.
Or more. And the same thing, they said, look, we're not separate groups anymore. We're all Ukrainians. We're all Ukrainians. And so when Mark and I visited a combat group that we support and are now good friends of ours on the battleground, we saw that the most popular guy in the platoon, and their platoons are a little smaller, maybe 30 guys, you know, not 40 or 50, but the most popular guy in the platoon and kind of the leader in a way, even though he didn't have that rank, was a Romani guy. You know, he had all kinds of, you know, potions and stuff, and he had trinkets around his neck and stuff like that, and everybody loved him, you know, and what a fierce fighter he was. In fact, I think I might have shown you some of the videos of him in a trench. Waiting for the Russians to come. They're coming, and he said in Russian, actually, we're going to kill them all, you know, and he has 2 grenades sitting there ready to go, and his AK ready, And he was an extremely popular guy, and I still communicate with him, by the way. How these guys survive in the firefights that they get into, I don't know, but they're really, really good. The reason is because they killed the other side so effectively that
see, my feeling, what's happening is we have an American president who says some of the right things, but then does not do what he says.
Yeah,
and that's Israel, and that's Ukraine.
What he does is, politically,
we'll always stand with Ukraine.
Yeah,
we'll always stand with Israel.
Yeah,
but
politically, he says the right thing. We're going to support Ukraine, and we should support Ukraine. And the vast majority of Americans believe that. Tucker Carlson has infected a number of people who, by the way, are peeling off to our side now and realizing, no, Russia isn't the wonderful place that Tucker said it was. And, Ukraine is not the cause of the war. Russia is. And so what they want to do is what Biden wants to do is he wants to say, I support Ukraine. He wants the political support from doing that,
right?
And he gets it, but he doesn't want to. He's too much of. I say he's too cowardly to really support Ukraine to win the war.
Pacifist.
So he gives them enough. I think cowardly. I think he's afraid of Russia. I think he's afraid of Putin, and he's.
He always cowers to the bad guys.
He does.
He's telling United Kingdom and a lot of our allies to not be too tough on Iran right now. Iran's about to go nuclear.
Right. And then also he's saying to the Ukrainians, don't bomb the oil refineries in Russia. And they've knocked out half of the oil refineries, maybe not permanently, but severely damaged. Some are down completely, but they've really severely cut back the amount of oil. And he's saying, don't do that because oil prices will go up, which is insane. Absolutely insane.
And he's hamstringing Israel regarding Hamas. He's very consistent about that. Final break. We'll be right back.
Sure.
Smart Law with John Zarek continues at 43 minutes past the hour. Don't go away.
Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person on the radio who isn't afraid to speak the truth about what's really happening in Atlantic City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
They always have great conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We're back. It's 45 minutes past the hour. John Zarek is here. Smart Law with John Zarek. Joanne Daly will be joining us for the 9 o'clock hour. Her regular monthly visit. We'll be talking all about real estate. A lot to catch up with Joanne about. We continue, though, now uninterrupted until the top of the hour with John. Counselor, time is yours.
Yeah. With the Ukraine situation, still in touch with a lot of people on the ground. Mark happens to be home now. We're still raising money. Ukraine Humanitarian Inc. You can Google UkraineHumanitarian.org and donate right there with a credit card or debit card.
What's the need right now, in your estimation?
Lots of refugees because the Russians have taken back some territory, not much, like incremental gains because Ukraine went 6 months without weapons shipments. So
terrible.
Instead of being able to blow up the Russians a mile, 2, 3 out with 155 rounds. If you don't have the 155 rounds, you have to wait till they're on top of you to fight, and then, a lot more people get killed.
Terrible.
And so that's, so instead of a lot of people getting slaughtered, the Ukrainians, unlike the Russians, will be smart. They'll pull back. The Russians will get enthusiastic, charge ahead, and the Ukrainians will slaughter them and then maybe pull back a little more. So it changes the tactics. The front is stable. Now, the weapons are getting there, but instead of everything getting there, they're getting there kind of piecemeal. And, but the Ukrainians are making very effective use of the weapons. What they're doing now is, and it's an interesting thing from a geopolitical standpoint, they are destroying, Russia's air defense systems. So they're knocking out, billion-dollar systems.
Wow.
Systems that cost a lot of money, and the same systems that they're using to defend against Ukrainian planes, missiles, whatever, and to guide their missiles to Ukraine, the same systems are the early warning systems for nuclear war. So what Ukraine is doing is dismantling right now Russia's nuclear deterrence system.
Wow.
So that, and believe me, that is really, really important for us and for Europe, because they don't have to have as many weapons. They don't have to have as high alert. They can take it easy, and they can spend money on other things, which is one of the reasons we, the United States, and all NATO countries and the whole world should be extremely grateful to Ukraine and should keep supporting Ukraine, because instead of us spending $400 billion a year on defending Russia, we can spend half of that money, because Russia's tied up with Ukraine and will be for years. I mean, there's no way that they're going to have a resurgence of greatness. Their economy is busted. They're going broke.
But you did say something that I sort of speculate about. This is going to be going on for years. It already has.
Look, Harry, when a war ends, it can end. You might say, okay, Russia's throwing everything they can into it. We're supporting Ukraine. There's a more or less static line. Things haven't changed much in 2 years and 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Things haven't changed much, so you could say, well, this looks like it's going to go on. However, when Ukraine has the full complement of the $61 billion that was passed, which, I and a lot of friends worked at D.C. a lot with, when they get the full complement, and as Russia, Putin is starting to scream for negotiations now. And the reason he's starting to do that is because his oil refineries are getting knocked out. Half of his Black Sea fleet is knocked out, irreplaceable too. Turkey won't let any warships into the Black Sea. It's only a little narrow strait that you can bring warships in. So as their fleet is getting knocked out, and their soldiers are getting killed en masse, and their economy is, and their inflation is out of control, and their economy is more or less wrecked by this war. As all this happens, now Putin is screaming for negotiations, and the Ukrainians don't want negotiations, because negotiations simply means that Russia will stop fighting for a while and build up its economy, straighten everything out, get new weapons, and attack again. And everybody in Europe knows that. And what's happening now is the European countries individually are passing large weapons appropriations for Ukraine. I mean, every day there's a new country saying they're giving $1 billion of this, they're giving $800 million of that, they're giving $2 billion of that. And now what those countries, the UK has already done it, UK has already done it, Germany's already done it, not Germany yet. France has already done it, said, look, any weapons we give you can use any place, inside Russia, outside Russia. If it's defensive, if you're knocking out Russian troops who are about to invade your country, or you're knocking out planes that are carrying glide bombs, go ahead. And we're about to do that too. The Secretary of State has indicated that they're going to do that. So Russia is very hurting. They've been able to lay back off the front line, and basically, like the kid who runs in the house. I saw this happen actually one time. The kid punches the other kid in the nose and then runs back and runs in the house and through the screen door says, "Yeah, you can't do anything." And
courage.
I saw one of my friends punch through the screen and knock the guy down. It was kind of good. Knocked a kid down.
Yeah,
that was kind of. It was kid stuff, but that's what Russia's doing now. They're massing the army on Russian soil, and Ukraine can't shoot at them with the best stuff they got because there are restrictions. But now those restrictions are coming off. So when they go to mass on the border, they're going to lose a lot of people. So things are looking up. Things are good.
Approaching 53 minutes past the hour. I was thinking about something that occurred yesterday, John, at the Trump trial with respect to Judge Merchan ordering that the defendant must be in the courthouse while the jury deliberates. Is that customary?
Yeah. During deliberation, it's customary that someone has to be there or very close by. I mean,
the attorney could be there, right? But, Merchan ordered that the defendant has to be there.
The defendant has the right to be present for all proceedings. And
if they have a question, they do bring the jury in so that defendant would have the right to be in the jury room.
Yeah, let's say
because it has happened.
Let's say the question is, look, if most of us want to vote for acquittal and there are one or two people who don't want to vote for acquittal, can we beat up the two people? Can we use physical violence on the other two people? If they get a question like that, obviously Trump would have to be there to talk with his attorneys about what that would be. Or if it were vice versa, he'd have to talk with his attorneys about what that means, because the state could then say, look, we'll give you this deal, that deal, or,
I did not think it sounded unreasonable.
You don't want your guy in left field. So everybody has to stay.
Yeah. I didn't think it was unreasonable, but because this case has been so highly irregular, there are people saying, and look, he keeps trying to tie him up. Now even when the jury could be deliberating for days. Now they want to just keep tying him up. But I do understand what you said, and I agree with what you said.
Yeah, once or twice in Atlantic County or Mays Landing, we've had a jury out and asked the judge, can I run over to you get tired of eating certain
cafeteria.
Food? Can I run over to the Wawa and get a hot dog or something that, make it fast. It fast. That's a guarantee to have the jury come back with a verdict, because the minute I get the Wawa, I get a call. Get back here. The jurors in. So
5 minutes left in the program. John, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really happy with with the way things are, because these false prosecutions of Trump are not hurting him.
He's
at
fortunate.
all. Not hurting him.
They thought it would.
They thought it would, but they're not hurting him at all. I think this trial is going well for him.
What I don't want to see is tempting now, though, the fate of, because they've hung their hat so many times on just being charged is going to knock him out and knock him down. He can't possibly be the nominee. We're going to knock him out of that. Then that didn't work. His numbers went up and his fundraising went up. Now they're hanging their hat on, however, if he's convicted of felonies, then it's going to be altogether different if that happens. They always have the next thing they're grasping for.
Yeah. Well,
this will test, though.
I think they can grasp all they want. I think they are I think Biden is doomed.
Yeah, I do too. They think he is too. That's why they're doing this.
I think.
Do you think
doomed.
though, if the President Trump is convicted of a felony or multiple felonies, is that different than how it's gone so far with just accusation?
I think it'll just exacerbate the general feeling in the country, and including CNN, maybe one or two MSNBC people even, CNN.
They even covered
NBC.
This case, that this case is wrong.
Yeah, they
But if he's convicted, they'll say it's a great case.
I'm not so sure. I think it's going to exacerbate the feeling among everyone that this is really a raw deal.
Yeah.
And this is just a banana republic political prosecution done by people who are now proving to be pretty flaky and criminal. Fannie Willis in Atlanta and her boyfriend, they are felons. They are absolutely felons. They lied about the cash and the money and where all the money went and what, she spent all the money on.
My father told me to keep money. Oh my God! It was such bull.
I mean, it sounds like poor Senator Menendez. The gold bars,
right?
The gold bars. It's a tradition to keep.
He's blaming his wife.
$1 million of gold bars in your closet.
Yeah.
But so it's turning out very badly for them, and it's going to continue to turn out badly as these people get picked off.
I think if he's convicted, and I don't want this tested because I don't want to see this happen. I think it goes worse for Biden and the Democrats because it's one thing you charged them, but man, if you got away with convicting someone like this, I think the price they would pay would be incalculable.
Yeah, and ultimately, all these cases are going to get to the Supreme Court because either through direct federal appeal or habeas corpus applications after state convictions and exhaustion of state
and they'll knock it out.
Appeals, and the Supreme Court or if some other court doesn't do it quicker, they're going to knock this out. They're going to say, as I've been saying for a long time, they're going to say this is an unconstitutional conspiracy. All jurisdictions and the White House and everyone else, this is a unconstitutional conspiracy on frivolous cases that have never been brought before. All of a sudden, you have 4 cases that are frivolous, and none of these cases have ever been brought before in any jurisdiction.
And on New York v. Trump,
and they're going to say
Bragg even didn't want to bring it and said he wouldn't. You had the FEC pass that it was not a violation of that, and you had the DOJ look at it.
And I would be very, very happy
20 seconds
to see all these people convicted. And maybe
me too.
Maybe
that's what I've been calling for.
Maybe prosecutor Jack. Maybe he won't be convicted. Maybe they'll send him to the nut house because he seems halfway there now.
I like what Judge Cannon's been doing. She's been really smacking him around, and I like it. 10
Deservedly
seconds.
so.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Deservedly so.
John, great to be with you.
Oh, so good to be here, Harry.
You're looking well.
Thank you.
Very fit, very well. Joanne Daly joins the program next. We'll shift gears. We'll talk real estate. What's the latest coming up in just a few minutes? Stay with us.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's 4 minutes past the hour. Bonus minutes for Joanne Daly. Hey, look, I never complain. We're back 2 minutes before typically we are, and we're going to take full advantage of it. Joanne is the official and exclusive real estate expert for the Hurley in the Morning program, and Joanne presents and sponsors her program here with us on the fourth Thursday of every month in the 9 o'clock hour. The Joanne Daly team at RE/MAX Platinum Properties of Ventnor are located at 5321 Atlantic Avenue. And I'm going to give you Joanne's hotline number. It's very special. 609-513-8969. I'll repeat. 609-513-8969. And I'm telling you right now, I'm encouraging you not to do as I say, but to do as I do. Choose who I choose. And that's Joanne Daly, who is the official and exclusive expert for the program, but also the official real estate expert for my family, personally, us. Again, 609-513-8969. And if I've inspired you to call Joanne, please tell Joanne that when you talk to her. And if you're looking to buy a home, selling your home, looking to rent, Joanne Daly, full services available to take good care of you and yours. Joanne, welcome. I can't believe it. It's been a month, and here we go. How are things?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Harry. It's amazing. We have nice weather. We had a nice weekend, a nice holiday weekend. So it's the official kickoff to summer at the shore.
It is true. And in less than 3 weeks, 3 weeks from yesterday, Joanne and Glenn will be teeing it up at the 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open. Can't wait.
Yes, it's all good. I said it's kind of funny. I've had like a little shoulder twinge because I've been doing a lot of moving, helping some clients. And I'm like, oh, I got to take it easy. I have some serious putting to do. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you guys, you have, it's like, how do I word this best? You have such a well-oiled machine. You've got somebody that drives like he's John Daly, only more accurate. You've got the long game, you've got the short game, and that's why you are always either winning the whole thing or within a stroke, or sometimes even going to the match of cards in a tie, because you guys are always right there because your foursome has the what you need. You need someone that can drive. You need the short game. You need the good putter. You guys have it covered.
Right. There's so many different facets to the game, which makes it intriguing and I want to say addicting, because there are different aspects that each you can bring to it. Typically every golfer has, the good golfers have, good drives, nice chips, and they're on the green, which is what you all strive for. But in reality, we all have to kind of chip in on a tournament and play together, which that part makes it really fun. I have to say, Glenn's playing in the LPGA Pro-Am next week.
That's
so
exciting.
We're all anxious. Yeah, so that's a really nice invitation to get to play in the Pro-Am. So we're kind of curious as to which pro he'll get to play around with. And they have the two different courses going, so we're not sure which course he'll get to play on. But it makes it really nice, and that's like he's counting it as a practice round for your tournament.
Oh, I love it. That's exciting. That is so good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, as you know, I'm not just saying this to be nice. He is a great player, and he loves the game of golf.
Right, he does, and it's been in his blood since childhood, and both his parents were avid golfers. It's an amazing bloodline, if you will, and he grew up playing on Bethpage, so it's exciting to watch him go the distance. And my dad was a really big golfer, and it's funny because he always said, we used to just kind of laugh at him like, oh my gosh, you play so much golf, but he said it's a sport that you can play your entire life. You don't have to retire at 30. You're not over at 35.
No, you get the handicap and maybe even the shorter tees as time goes on. I want you to mention this to Glenn for me, because I personally witnessed this out on the course. In baseball, when someone like Aaron Judge or someone like that hits the ball, I always have the Yankees on. I sometimes have my attention, though, if I'm working on something. You hear the sound when certain people hit the ball. When Glenn drives, and I've not really seen him out on the course other than at the tee box, but the ball makes a different sound. Do you know what I mean by that, Joanne?
Yeah, I do.
You know what I'm talking about. It is a sound where there's just certain people, and this is the speed of his swing, the power involved, and the contact. It makes a sound. John Zarek is still here. He's looking so well. He makes me happy. But you know what I'm saying about that. And Glenn has that, and I've seen it. I've absolutely observed it for myself. It just makes, for example, how far does Glenn drive?
Oh my! It all depends. Like if I couldn't even say. Like he's 250.
Yeah, I'll bet he's even beyond 250. 250 would be awesome for everyone listening. But he just, the contact that he makes, it just makes that special sound that you don't hear that often. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of his drives are kind of funny because depending on how the course is laid out, if he has to go towards the right or the left, he can drive that ball to make the turn around the trees, to go over the trees. So it's hard to say, like, when he's doing his first drive out, like what it would be, because they're very rarely are they like straight out there right to the hole.
Exactly.
That would be too easy.
Right. So you're hitting, like he's doing, you're hitting shots for position too.
Exactly. So there's not like a straight kind of shot out there, but he gets it where he needs to, like right up to a chip to the green.
Yep. And that's why you guys are very competitive, because you've got all the bases covered. You're always seemingly hitting a good shot. And then you're the one that, they say, drive for show, putt for dough. You bring it home on the putting.
Right, exactly.
And that's where, I really believe this. That is where our tournament is won. It's won, and that's not unique to the Hurley in the Morning Golf Open. That's where you win it. You win it on the putting surface.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a whole game, though. Like, you have to have, par and under on these shots, So, Glenn's pretty famous for his eagles. So, he has plenty of eagles out there. So,
yeah,
because he can drive the ball up there. And,
exactly.
He's an awesome chipper. It's kind of amazing to watch him chip and, hit the pin and, land up, 3 inches from the hole. So,
well, that's the deal. When you have a makeable putt and you have 4 people that are having the opportunity to take that shot in a scramble tournament like ours, you're going to make great scores. A lot of times people are putting on the green and they're lucky if they have a 2-putt situation. It could easily turn into a 3-putt situation. So if you've got somebody that can get it close to where almost every time you're putting for either a birdie or even an eagle, I mean, that starts to, really favorably impact your scorecard in a hurry.
Right. And that, it does help when you're familiar with the course. Mm-hmm. And it's tricky, because a lot of the tournaments, you have players that come to participate and be, charitable and come and play these, but they don't know the course.
Exactly. So, your learning experience is an issue, too. And I do know this. Our players really love playing at Linwood Country Club.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful course and well-maintained. Yeah, there's, it's challenging and interesting enough,
Yep.
We always seem to kind of get a little confused out there sometimes because we're so excited. We hit this, we're ready to go, and it's like, oh, which way do we go?
Exactly. That's true. I have heard that. Joanne, hold on. When we come back, we'll shift gears and we'll talk all about real estate right after the break. Just a reminder to any of our players who happen to be listening right now to Joanne's program on Thursday, that is June 20th. At the Linwood Country Club. It is our 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Golf Open. It is already a complete sellout. We have 31 foursomes already scheduled. We do not put a second foursome on any of the par 3s, so we will have 2 foursomes on the par 4s and the par 5s, 1 foursome on the par 3s, and we have found that really respects all of our players and makes our event a comfortable, playable amount of time. We have 2 hole-in-one competitions, one for a Canes custom cart. And if you remember the one that was there last year, it was magnificent. We have an ad sponsor by Charles and Anne-Marie Kane. Margie and Vaughn Reel are sponsoring, as they have done for a number of years, a $5,000 second hole-in-one opportunity. And then we have $250 cash prizes available for a longest drive competition. And the longest drive competition, we have, for the first time ever, we have named it after someone. It's named after Frank Campo. So it will be the Frank Campo Memorial Longest Drive Competition. And then we've done the same. They both passed away within about a month of each other. I expressly picked, I did not expect Frank to pass. I knew that my friend Joe Pellegrino had cancer, but he was winning, and I thought he was going to be, both of them I thought would be with us this year. We'd already talked about this year's tournament, so I can't even believe I'm saying these things. But the closest to the pin, I knew that I would name after Joe Pellegrino. He won it a couple of years ago, so that just seemed like a natural to name that after Joe, keep their memories, their names alive. So we've got a number of really great opportunities this year. Golfers arrive in the 8 o'clock hour, registration and breakfast hour, 9 a.m. shotgun start, and then because we limit the number of players in our event, you'll have a nice playable round, and then a wonderful lunch, and then awards thereafter at the Linwood Country Club. And we've been emailing all the captains. Joanne's been getting it. I've also sent it to Glenn, every update that I do once a week. So everybody knows where the event stands, and we're in really good shape, less than 3 weeks out. Looking forward to it. Back with Joanne, who is our official and exclusive real estate professional for the Hurley in the Morning program. And a reminder to reach Joanne for all of your real estate needs. Call 609-513-8969. That's 513-8969. 609-513-8969. Back in just over 3 minutes.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I'm looking for trustworthy news.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Brigantine. Mays Landing. Each State.
Ocean City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. South Jersey's talk station.
Thank you. And John Zarek has left the building. Counselor, your mic is on. You can say goodbye to everybody and hello to Joanne.
Yeah, take care. Joanne, love your show. I might decide to work really hard, get extra money so I can buy a house through you.
There you go.
I think that would be cool.
You're in good hands if you do that, John. I promise you.
I know I am.
Good to see you, John. Have a great day, my friend. Also, thank you for your support of our charity golf tournament. John has paid for a foursome and a whole sponsor, and 4 people are going to get to play that otherwise would not have gotten to play. Thank you, John.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Always.
I'll be working on that money, Joanne.
Thank you. There you go. Get ready for a new client, Joanne. Joanne, John has left, so he can't hear you now, but he did hear you all through the first segment and right until the end here. Joanne Daly, our official real estate expert for the Hurley in the Morning program, RE/MAX Platinum Properties event, or the Joanne Daly team. And believe me, from personal experience, I can tell you, you will be in the best of hands. Great service. Joanne is great with marketing and everything that's involved. It's for people that don't know Joanne, maybe take a little bit of time to talk about it. There is a wide-ranging amount of work that you do on behalf of your clients, Joe.
Yeah, well, first of all, full disclosure, I enjoy listening to John's program as well. Yeah, well, before I come on.
Awesome.
So I enjoy that as well. And fortunately, I'm not in need of his services per se, but,
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, right. But I would say.
Yeah, I want him to need you, the real estate professional, than ever you would need a criminal defense attorney.
Right. But I do appreciate his service and what he does for his clients,
He does it the right way.
Right, exactly. And we have that in common. I operate, it's kind of funny because I hold myself to the highest standards I possibly could work. And it's funny, Glenn often says, who does what you do? Who does this? What kind of agent? I never had a real estate agent that did this XYZ,
Well, I love when we find the one who does it better and differently than anybody else. And that's, again, something I can testify to, and that is your incredible relationship building that you do. And I know you know this in most all cases, because you've done a lot of big deals as well. Maybe you've dealt with someone that a real estate purchase is not the biggest investment that they've ever made. But for most of us, the purchasing of our home, and it could be somebody purchasing a home to live, a vacation home. It is the biggest financial expenditure that you will ever make. So you should always choose wisely and choose the best.
Right. And I go above and beyond because it makes it, I want to say, the transactions are hard enough with the legalities, the documents, the process of it is difficult to begin with. And if I can make it as easy as possible for people to get through, and I have a client right now struggling because they have such personal issues that they have to contend with in their family life, and they have to sell their property, and their plate is full. I realize that the real estate part I can handle for them. If they, from soup to nuts, where this one gentleman has his plate full, and I'm in the position where he needed to empty out his unit for the sale, and it kind of went back and forth, and I'm literally wrapping up doing a clean out on his unit as part of my service.
Well, I'll just let me confess something to our listeners. I can tell you that we were juggling, and I had provided Joanne with another date because there may have been, because of her excellence in customer service, there may have been an issue, you being here on the program, and you would have been doing something that nobody else would be doing.
Right.
But that's your approach. Your approach is all in.
Right, all in, need to help, need to get it done. There's time constraints and different issues that the sellers are contending with. And if I can take something off their plate to help and make it easier or, less hard, less difficult, then I jump in and do it. So I have, a good team. I can't do it alone. I have, guys running to, Goodwill. We're getting, junk removal people in, scheduling elevators, doing what we have to do to get it done. And people don't see that kind of stuff on HGTV.
No.
That's like, oh, they walk in, it's a beautiful place, it's $1 million. Okay,
yeah, Tarek and Christina, they're not doing that. No, they're not doing that.
Yeah, right. So I call this the reality of real estate, because we deal with so many clients with different issues and different challenges that we have to adapt and make it the best we can for them, because this is like I always said, and they're like, I can't tell you how many clients that I said, I don't know how you do what you do. I could never do this all day long. Like it's a job, do what you do, And I said, well, I do what I do so I can help you and help others do what they have to do by buying or selling, So it is fun. It is funny. It's and I, my satisfaction, is that I have happy customers. That's where I get paid, that they're relieved. I'm handling it for them. I keep them updated where we are in the situation, and they're happy with that. That makes them happy. They know they're in good hands. I'm taking care of it, and I give them updates. So, we'll have a closing tomorrow,
Well, that's another thing, too, communication. You're also in the communications business because there are a lot of moving parts that go on during a deal, all these different dates and times and things that you have to be aware of and that your clients have to be aware of. We're visiting with Joanne Daly, the exclusive real estate professional for the Hurley in the Morning team. The Joanne Daly team, RE/MAX Platinum Properties of Ventnor, are at 5321 Atlantic Avenue. It's an absolutely beautiful building. I love it every time I drive by, and I drive by it quite a bit. 609-513-8969, 609-513-8969 to reach Joanne. Joanne, it looks like everything that we thought we knew has changed. The Federal Reserve Board is looking at the economy very differently now. What once would have been something in the neighborhood of 4, 5, or even 6 rate decreases, now we're going to be lucky if we see 1. I mean, at the absolute outside maybe 2, but looking like maybe 1, and it might not even happen until after the election. So we're going to be stuck. Now, I say this as someone that we bought our first home at something like 17.5%. So when I say persistently high and it's like 7, it's all relative, but that's high compared to when people were at 2 point something or 3. So what are your thoughts relative to if we're not in a rate decrease environment, that rates staying upper 6 to 7 percentile? Your thoughts?
Well, Harry, we've talked about this, and I see it as a leveling off. The rates can't keep fluctuating. There has to be sort of some consistency, that people can work towards, strive in, get to wrap their brain around that this is kind of a normal rate.
Yeah.
3, 2, 3, 4%, those were the good old days,
I mean, I remember saying to you in that era, not error, era, ERA, that I don't think we'll ever see anything like this again. We had never seen it before. I mean, that was, for a lot of reasons, that's when the Fed's funds rates were 0. So you would have these incredibly low rates. And, of course, on the yield side, people weren't getting much for their investment. If they were in a really secure investment, you're looking at sometimes less than 1% even. So when you have higher rates in terms of borrowing, usually you have higher rates in terms of yield. So it's always a yin-yang give and take. But you're right about that. 2, 3, 4% is unnatural.
Right. And it's kind of unsustainable.
Yeah.
It really is. And, because we were there, we lived through it, we saw it, we want it back.
Yeah.
It's not really realistic, So
well, let me ask you this. What is realistic? 5%, 6%, stuff like that?
Right. Like a normal percent, you're borrowing money.
Yeah.
You're borrowing money. There's a cost to that.
Yeah.
You go back into the people funding these loans and whatnot. They're not doing it for free, So they're happy to lend you money, with good credit and a decent rate back of return. That makes sense. That's the business you're in when you do that. But, are we going to see 10% or the 17% that years ago? No. Imagine that.
I did. I lived it. You know, Margie and I bought our duplex in Summers Point back in 1982-ish, 81, 82. And it was 17.5% with AAA credit. And then you think about what we're seeing now, people, losing their minds over 6.75% or 7%. It is all relative when you think about it. But yes, we knew 17.5%. My first new car purchase was a Honda Accord, 21.6% interest rate, Joanne.
Right. It's not, it wasn't cheap to borrow money,
No.
And that's where people would say, oh, you got to, work and save and buy cash. And now you can't, people aren't buying with cash, buy 7%.
But I do think if you buy at 7% today, there will be an opportunity. I can't tell anybody when. There will be an opportunity. Like when we bought, as you know, the Ponderosa 30 years ago, it was at 8.5%. I was able to then refinance to 6, and then I refinanced to 4, and I should have done it one more time. I still don't know why I didn't, but I just was done with it at that point. So 4% is where it's at. We knew. I remember Bill Malamut saying, not to worry what it is now. If you can handle this now, we'll be able to address this down the road. So I think somebody that purchases at 7% today, I think they will have – we can't guarantee it, Joanne, on your show, but I think they will have an opportunity to knock that down at some point.
Right.
Let's take our halftime break, Joanne. We're going to come right back. When we come back, because it is late spring, heading into summer, we'll get an update from Joanne on the rental market as Joanne sees it and anything that's going on by way of trends in the we'll call the Atlantic City metro market. 609-513-8969 to reach Joanne. 609-513-8969 for all of your real estate needs. If you're selling, if you're buying, if you're renting, Joanne Daly is the person that I exclusively recommend that you introduce. Seems to me that Brian Kilmeade wants to speak about Robert De Niro. Just a hunch.
Brian Kilmeade.
He's such an idiot, Robert De Niro. I will never see anything else he's in. The way he goes and uses his celebrity to go after Donald Trump as if people care what he has to say. He went on to say that he's going to destroy the country, destroy the city. Did you see who's running this city? Do you see what's going on with the illegal immigrants in this city? If you cared about the city, you wouldn't allow this DA like Alvin Bragg to waste our time and our money, not prosecuting legitimate criminals and going after people he doesn't like.
Brian Kilmeade, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Wake up weekday mornings with Hurley in the morning.
This is the stuff we need to talk about.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. It's true. It's what we talk about. It's 38 minutes past the hour. Brian Kilmeade coming up in about 28 minutes. Joanne Daly, our official real estate expert, continues with her monthly program. If you're new to it, Joanne's with us on the 4th. Occasionally, if there's a 5th Thursday, we float a little bit, but you can pretty much count on the 4th Thursday of every month in the 9 o'clock hour. Joanne talks all about real estate. How are things going? We'll start with the rental market. How do things look?
Well, that's a tough market right now. I think there are way more people needing apartments than there are apartments available, rentals available. I have a handful that are searching for properties. And, and I have to say it's very difficult for rentals. Rentals are typically folks that are in transition of locations, of jobs, family status, if they're divorced, they have banged up credit often, due to, student loans or medical issues, family issues. And so the prices now for rentals have gone up to where, if they could afford $2,000, they would buy something because that's a mortgage.
Yes.
But so unfortunately, they're not in positions that they could get a mortgage, for different reasons. So the rental prices have shot up to the cost of a mortgage, making it very difficult for people with modest incomes, other, I would say, bigger bills that they have to contend with, that they could actually afford paying a $2,000 rental fee for a one-bedroom,
And by the way, it isn't just the $2,000 a month. It can be pretty pricey. Your deposit, if it's first month, last month, and any other type of leasehold improvement stuff, or if you have a pet, for example, pet deposit and all these things, it can be, I don't think I'm lying. It can, in some cases, be more than $5,000 day one to get an apartment.
Right, and one of the utility companies, if you've not had utilities, if you're not from the area and had utilities previously in your name, they charge a deposit.
Yeah.
So it's one thing after another, and then of course you have to subscribe to internet.
Yeah.
So that was. You used to have like a $30 cable bill, and I don't know anybody that has a $30 cable bill anymore.
Yeah, put another zero on that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
So it's very difficult for renters. It's very difficult for young kids getting out on their own because, if they don't do the college route, and some are going to do either military or trade school or those kinds of things, they have a hard time starting out. Like, their parents or student loans will get them into college living on their own. But if they decide to stay local and pursue a different, cooking school career that they can do here, then they have to get out and get their own apartment, and that oftentimes, in fact, I have a couple that have to do co-signers right now, and they're young med students.
Wow.
And they have to have co-signers because they're not out there. They have, a little bit of credit, but they're in school.
This is almost an unfair question, and it's a tricky question because it's I think open to interpretation, the eye, ear of the beholder. But what used to be really attainable and I don't want to say easy, but doable, comfortably doable, maybe is a little bit of a clumsy but accurate way to describe it, now is so tough. I mean, literally, the young people today are saying they can't buy a house. That I know that owning your home is the American dream and all that, but that used to be doable and attainable. It's getting really tough, isn't it?
Well, I think it was always tough because as young couples, starting out, whether they did a college route, they're just starting out with new salaries and they don't have a nest egg for a deposit. So that was always kind of the challenge. And let's say that was the wedding gift, like the envelope that would go towards, eventually we're going to own our house. We'll make all this like our deposit money,
Yep.
Now it's difficult. The prices are way up. People, like when I take people out looking for homes and just say in the $500,000 bracket and what they're getting and the repairs that it needs, and it's insane that they're like, really, we're going to pay $500,000 for this? Like, that's what this costs?
And then what are you looking at, like a $4,000 a month mortgage?
Yeah. Yeah. And they have, umpteen repairs to make. Like, it's not move-in ready, stellar HGTV quality.
Yeah.
By any.
Joanne, is most everything right now as is?
Yes, pretty much.
Because the seller can get away with it.
Right. And it is as it is,
Scary.
because there's multiple offers. And that's the other reason why young people don't have a shot at it, because though they might have the money for the property, they don't have the money for the repairs afterwards.
There you go.
And it would really need it. We're talking like a roof,
Joanne, do me a favor. Let's get the final break in. Then we're going to be uninterrupted until Brian Kilmeade at 6 minutes past the top of the next hour. We're approaching 45 minutes past the hour. We're only going to go away for a little more than 3 minutes. So when we come back, we're going to have a good 16, 17 minutes uninterrupted with Joanne, who's talking all about real estate. We'll be back with Joanne right after this. I am.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
It's a source I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville. A Town Square media station.
We're so fortunate in this country to have a military that is 100% volunteer. Now, that's why Pure Talk proudly supports America's Warrior Partnership and their mission to prevent veteran suicide. If you make the switch on your cell phone, well, guess what? You're going to get Pure Talk's 5G network, unlimited talk and text, $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now for superior cell phone service, half the price of the big carriers, and you also help a vet in need.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert, and I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-887-1010. That's 800-887-1010.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
We live in a society where everybody is offended.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. South Jersey's talk station.
Thank you. Welcome back. Joanne Daly is with us this hour. We're talking real estate. I should say Joanne is talking real estate, our expert real estate professional for the Hurley in the Morning program and for the Hurley family is Joanne Daly, who you can reach at 609-513-8969 if you are interested in selling your current home, buying a new home or a vacation property, a vacation home, or if you're looking to rent. There are a lot of people out there, Joanne, that I think would be very pleased to sell their home, possibly downsize even, if they knew that they could get right into something else. There is opportunity being missed here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It's sort of like a tough situation because, like we said earlier, the playing field financially is kind of leveling off, like just say 6.5%, 7%, we're there. And if they've had the good fortune of getting in at a lower rate, it's hard for them to put their house on the market. The only thing that's driving that is like situations of retirement or relocations that people are sort of forced to do it, put their house up. They want it. There's a lot of people that want to do it because they're getting good prices for the house, but then they have no place to go.
Exactly. Because you're right. If rate wasn't even an issue because perhaps you have paid off your home and you have a 2-story home and you're, maybe getting older, you want to get a smaller rancher or something like that, be on one level, and you could basically buy the property in cash. Even that's a problem because the inventory isn't necessarily there.
Right. If you wanted to stay around, it's tough because, and people do, they have the grandkids, they have the beach, they have their life here, but they want to downsize out of their larger, primary home that they've been in for 25, 30 years. They don't want to do the lawn maintenance anymore. Yep. They're ready to go to a condo and just walk in and be, have an elevator. Medical issues I see all the time make people, want to sell their home, their primary home that needs a lot of maintenance, and go to a nice condo where, they can go in and out very easily. There's somebody there maintaining the building. They have a pool. They're on the beach.
Yeah.
They could take off. And go to Florida for a month and not worry about their home.
Yeah, very tempting. It's all very tempting, isn't it?
Right. So the trick is finding the spot that will allow you to do that. What's out there, what's available, and there are a few. There are a few out there.
If you wanted right now to get a 1-bedroom condo in the Atlantic City area, how doable is it?
It's doable. It is doable. What people are never ready for are the HOA fees. So I would say people wrapping their brain around it's how much a month. I have one that I just listed one. It's $728 a month for the condo fee. Now I can tell you the list it covers is the length of my arm.
Yeah.
It's maintenance, insurance, and what people don't realize that in that $728, there's flood insurance. Buildings are required to carry flood insurance for every unit, whether it's the second floor or the 10th floor. They have to have insurance. And that, as we all know, just tripled.
Yep. Oh, no, there's no question. It's crazy. Is that $728 also covering all utilities?
Yes, that covers all utilities, pool maintenance, snow removal, landscaping. And the utilities is heating, air conditioning, not internet, but basic cable.
By the way, when you hear this out, that really is. I was going to say it's not terrible. That's not bad at all.
Right. I mean, when I'm not sure, what your electric bill is or my electric bill, and I'm sure it's a smaller. We're in home, so it would be smaller. But even if it was half of what I pay on an electric bill, that's a good chunk of that.
Yeah. Before solar, my electric bill in the summer, and this is long, long ago, was over $700 a month, just the electric bill.
Right.
So that's almost your whole kit and caboodle there.
Right, but we'll just go like from a house to a 1-bedroom, So your square footage. So even if you took a quarter of that,
I see what you're saying. Right. But for the person listening, though, that was their previous expenditure, and it would be significantly less if you could downsize.
Exactly. And you still have everybody else is maintaining it, not you.
Yeah.
The building's responsible, their maintenance team is responsible for it. And that includes 24-hour security, so.
Hey, you think about just getting your lawn cut like once a week during the summer for a number of months, that is. that's got to be in the neighborhood of $60 to $70 some dollars just the cut. Start averaging that out. That's in the neighborhood of more than $400-ish per month just cutting the lawn.
Right.
Again, if you're not cutting the lawn yourself, and a lot of people, do, and a lot of people don't.
Right. But then that's your time and money.
That's correct. That is correct.
And when you're getting to that point where you don't want to do the maintenance, that's you got
to schlep you got to get the gas. You got to make sure that the lawnmower is tuned up and all that. No, I don't want to sign up for that.
Right. So people go and they pay for the service, and it's no different. So it's amazing really what you get for that fee, and to have people think about it, that's your one utility bill that encompasses everything. You're not even sitting down doing bills for an hour at night.
Exactly. Joanne, is it right now becoming more challenging to get a mortgage when you're buying a condo?
Not really. Not too challenging, because most of these condos keep their numbers well enough so that sellers that are in the building can sell and buyers can get mortgages. The challenge has always been that they're not FHA approved. And this is my beef with the federal government on these FHAs and condos, that they're not approved, because they would be affordable for people, and they're all about affordable housing. Good, we'll give you 3.5%, down payment on an FHA, but they don't include the condos. Now, you could buy a one-bedroom condo with full services for $200,000. People would love to do that at 3.5% down payment.
Yeah,
but they're not permissible through the FHA program.
Yeah.
They have to be warranted.
I don't know why that is. I mean, I don't know what makes a condo something that I remember that you couldn't do reverse mortgages with condos, but now you can. That's actually something, we're not going to solve it here today on your show, but that's something they should take a look at. I mean, how is that not a reasonable accommodation that somebody might want to either retire in a condominium or live there in the first place? Doesn't have to be something, you move to later. And why shouldn't that be available through the FHA? I think it should be.
Right.
It's a home.
But it's only conventional,
Yeah.
I mean, it would help so many veterans.
Yeah.
That to be in a condo building, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Because they would have, it's a full service building.
Yep.
It would be perfect for veterans.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Low maintenance.
Are there many summer rentals available, Joanne?
There are a few. They're still out there. I have to say that Airbnb market really put a crush to the full-time summer rentals that are, Memorial Day to Labor Day. Folks aren't buying into 3 months at a high price at $30,000. They want to go a little bit longer, different places. Okay, let's break it up. They have different events that, we can't even do this. Johnny's playing softball, so we're going to be out for July,
Exactly.
So the dynamics have shifted a lot, and Airbnb and the VRBO market really shifted that.
See if this is a fair analogy. I think it is, but you're the pro. I'm just your protege. You're the mentor. I'm the mentee. But not Larry Menti. No, I'm just kidding. The two scenarios that you talk about, the long-term summer rental that forever people, would move from their upstairs to their own basement that was all set up as a second living area, and then they'd be able to rent the upstairs. And now you've got the B&B thing. Is that almost like what happened to the taxi business with the rideshare things, the Uber and the Lyft and things like that? It just completely it was a disruptor, and I use that word like people do in the financial sector. It was a disruptor to all that, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And it's I want to kind of say it's a bit of progress because business always changes. So the way we do business, look at the internet, how it's changed shopping.
Yeah,
where
it's true.
We had box stores. We had to go in and go shopping,
I mean, you're right about that. Think about how many people can say, I don't remember the last time I've gone to a mall.
Right.
And that's where everybody used to go.
Right. And the mall changed how, the small mom and pop store.
There you go.
So before So it's always evolving to, needs and trends and new inventions, if you will, like the internet. But, and the conglomerate, the brainstorming that went behind, well, let's take, Kresge's over here and some other dollars over here and put them all together and make a mall. Like malls were a thing where everybody shopped the local town, the main streets in town. And the malls put those people out of business.
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
So it's always a different evolution of business that one thing leads to another thing. And, the sentimentalists, the traditionalists, we try to hang on to some of the things of the past, like the main streets. We are all very fond of the town that has a main street because you don't see them anymore,
It's true. You have some sort of lasting, I don't know what you want to call them, legacy or whatever. Like Cape May, for example, people love going on the Washington Mall and to those stores and things like that. So there are, I guess, certain examples where that can still exist. I will tell you that when I was in Florida and my iPhone broke 15 minutes before I was leaving for the airport, my goodness, the malls in Orlando, Florida, Joanne, gangbusters. But that's not the case in our area.
Mm-hmm. And it never was. I'd say when I came here 30 some odd years ago, there wasn't a mall. The shopping down here was terrible. You had to.
But then you had the Shore Mall, then you had the Hamilton Mall, and they were very vibrant with a lot of different stores and pizza shops and restaurants and things like that. And then I don't think we can deny that the ability to purchase through Amazon or any of the online opportunities completely changes the bricks and mortar aspect.
Right.
Do you think there actually will be a time where there won't be? Because remember now, some people still stayed, true to their school and would go to malls and things like that. Oh, I got to try it on. These sizes are different. I don't want to have to order a small, medium, and a large. I'll just go get it at the mall. Well, now they let you try the stuff, give you the packaging and everything to send it all back. The one, like if you don't know if you're a medium or a large, or a large or an extra large or whatever, you just get both and you send one back. Now you don't even have to go to the mall.
Right. The thing about that, and I have to say it's funny because I was in South Carolina for the holiday weekend, and I wanted to go to the mall because I wanted to feel the fabric. I was getting guest room sheets, and everything's on sale, which was wonderful, but I had to feel the fabric. Even though it was on sale, I didn't want it to feel cheap, rough or
no. You needed to know that was Giza cotton. You needed, come on.
Right. I wanted to feel that, and I said I can't do this online. And half the times, I know, all right, so I'm going to get the dust ruffle online because I don't care how that feels, and they didn't even have that in the store. A bed skirt. I'm like, okay, I'll get that online. So I'm doing both, but certain things I want to feel the fabric for. Yeah. I want to see if it's
if it's the quality that you want. About 2.5 minutes in your program, Joanne. Give your listeners a little window into real estate for the remainder. I can't believe it, but we're 2/3 through the second quarter of the year, so we're approaching the halfway point within 31 days. What is your forecast real estate wise for the rest of 2024?
Well, for the rest of 2024 is a broad topic, but what I can say, and I'm happy to report, that I have seen some prices start to come down, a lot of price reductions on the properties that are out there, which is kind of interesting to see that but cautiously, it's like I think a lot of these were overpriced. As I said earlier, $500,000, $500,000, and you're getting, really a little rancher bungalow that used to be $180,000. So a lot of overinflated prices occurred like this last year and a half or so.
Well, I am happy to report last 30-day change for the Ponderosa is plus 2.4%, which the value of our home, so that's a number of thousands and thousands and thousands and still thousands of dollars increase. So we're still going up, Joanne.
Right, and most homes are because they were, I want to say, so low for so long.
Yeah, they weren't priced incorrectly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They shouldn't have been that low.
Yes.
So I'm not surprised by that. But I want to say, some of the maybe greedier type sellers or the opportunists that were going to take advantage of the high prices, they're not getting what they're asking for. They have some high prices out there, and it really almost is some of these properties is it worth the price for the lot, because the house is not worth that. It needs so much work that they're overpricing it, and they're starting to come down, I think, a little bit more reasonable, so I'm seeing some overpriced homes come down that might be helpful to have a reasonable inventory. Even though it might be a light inventory, it might be more reasonable.
I like that comment a lot. That's intellectually honest, which is very important. 609-513-8969 to reach Joanne and the Joanne Daly team at RE/MAX Platinum Properties of Ventnor for all of your real estate needs. Do as I say, but more importantly, do as I already do. Turn to Joanne. 609-513-8969. So we will already have met, and you will have already played in the 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open before we reconvene here for your June program. For your June